across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Asher, welcome back. It was Passover good?
That's right, yeah. Passed over nice and smoothly and came to a nice steady landing.
OK. Well,
Well, happy Good Friday, everyone, by the way.
Thank you. I'm doing it next week for Orthodox Good Friday. I just can't be bothered.
Right.
It's just easier to use the Orthodox calendar.
I mean, do you say Happy Good Friday? Because was it a good day or about that?
Well, I've known the man who's going to know about this.
Yeah.
It is Pastor Mark Burns, who has publicly stated that Donald Trump was spiritually obligated to bomb Iran in order to protect, I suppose, the Christian world from an attack by an overtly racist, jihadi nation. Mark, you can speak for yourself. Why did you say that this was vital?
Well, Andre, Ash, it's always good to be with you and the wonderful things you guys are doing for common sense in the UK. The reality of it is this, and of course, people take anything that I say out of context, but what I did say was that President Trump has a spiritual obligation to protect the innocent lives in Iran. The millions of Iranians that are thanking and praising President Trump for bombing and destroying that regime. It took 47 years for the 47th president to come and do what other presidents only talked about. President Trump actually did it. And you got to remember, so many people are talking about, yes, and God, I hate and so saddened for those children that was killed. And they talk about the innocent lives that has taken place, the collateral damage that has taken place. But the reality of it is you're ignoring the millions of Iranians in Iran that have been raped, have been beheaded.
But he's not going to get... He's now not saying he's going to do regime change. Isn't he backing down? He's just mainly got to open the Straits of Hormuz, and now he's even saying he won't do that. Doesn't he, as you say, have a moral duty and a spiritual duty to finish the job, you know, if he can?
Well, I think people are misunderstanding what the president is saying. I mean, there's already been a regime change. He's made it. The people who are currently in power now are not as radical as the ones that was in power. They're dead. They're gone. Those leaders are gone. These new leaders are in conversation with President Trump and Secretary Marco Rubio. And there are real talks, regardless of what...
But who's he talking to? Because other people, they're quite fractured, and some people, Iranian leaders are denying, saying we're not doing any deal. And so it's all fractured, isn't it?
I can tell you for a fact the president is having conversations, and the U.S. administration is having conversations with Iran. I don't care less. They could try to put on that strong arm mentality. They're trying to save face. That's to be honest with you. They're trying to save face. They're on their knees, and they don't want to appear to be on their knees. But the reality of it is the president had a spiritual obligation to protect not just those innocent lives in Iran. Remember, 45,000 people, Iranians, were killed by their own government. Not including those that are in Israel, those that are in Europe, the murders, the bombings, the assassinations led by the terrorist organization.
Well, these people, this government, Iranian government, when in 1979, they used children. If you were under 12 and too young to fight, they used them to run through the minefields to clear the mines, and tens of thousands were killed, and they gave them a little necklace, said, you're going to go to heaven.
I think
that's how evil they are.
When you hear things like that, when you hear reports coming from Iranians, these are from Iranians, when you hear those things take place, it's amazing how the liberal left are so bent out of shape that President Trump has bombed Iran when he's saving Iran. Again, I made it very clear in the Telegraph. I stated very clear. If a grown man, or anyone for that matter, see a woman being raped or being sexually abused or sexually assaulted, it is the man's responsibility, or anyone's responsibility, to go and defend that innocent woman, to save her. That's what President Trump has done. And that's what he will continue to do, to save the innocent people, all those women, all those children in Iran. Think about this, the Crown Prince that is here right now in Reza. We spoke together at CPAC. And CPAC, Matt and Mercedes Schlapp, they're coming to UK. CPAC is coming to UK. I'm really excited about that. And my friend Dr. Kai Dewar will be there with them. But the reality of it is, Reza, Crown Prince Reza, was just in the UK, in the United States, at CPAC with myself. And when you see the hundreds and thousands of Iranians that was there waving the Iranian flag, I've never seen that many Iranian flags in my life. I've never seen, when you see the flag of Iran, that's death to America. But these Iranians were waving the Iranian and the American flag, and they were shouting praises to President Donald Trump. That's the true spirit. That's what I meant when I said the president had a spiritual obligation as a man of God, and he is a man of God, to defend the defenseless. And
so he's going to continue with this campaign. How long do you think it's got to go? And what about this airman that's missing?
Well, the reality of it is, the airmen, I'm being told, the reports I'm receiving have already been found. They've already been there and safe. They've already been, they're in good spirits. And so...
I've heard one of them's been found. I've heard one's missing. Are you saying that the other one has been found? The
reports I'm getting, again, don't quote me on it, but the reports I'm getting...
we'll look into it, yeah.
Right, is that both of them have been found, both of them are safe.
Well, that's breaking news if that's true. We'll look into that. But is there a biblical aspect to any of this? You're a pastor. We have callers say it's written at Armageddon. And is this part of the biblical scriptures? Being a pastor, you'll know all about this.
Well, I think people are confusing, Jesus himself. And again, when they was using and I'm happy this is Good Friday, and I'm happy to be on your show on Good Friday. But the reality of it is Jesus himself, when they was using the house of God to sell and to market and to turn it from the house of God to a place of merchandise, Jesus himself had a righteous anger about him. And he took a whip. And he wasn't the nice, kind, soft Jesus that everyone thinks of. He was full of power and strength. And he walked with that whip, and he started turning over tables, and he started yelling and screaming at people because they was attacking the house of God. They were shaming the house of God. That's what President Trump is doing. He's been the hand of God to people, to a regime who have taken a religion like Islam, and they've used it for their own, they've twisted it and used it for their own. I talk to many Muslims all over the world, and they don't believe what that evil regime believes. They don't believe in this jihadist mess. But the reality of it is they are using Islam to push their evil agenda.
And it's working, isn't it? I mean, look at New York, in your country, and various other, even Texas.
And I'm happy the fact that Texas is fighting the Sharia law. I'm happy that there's a strong defense against bringing a law. In Florida, they made it a law that you cannot have the Sharia law in Florida. I think if they done it in Florida, we could do it in the United States of America. There should be one legal law in America, and that is the law of the United States of America. No other religion or no other law should supersede the law of the United States of America.
It's a remarkable thing, though, isn't it, when we hear religious leaders saying that Donald Trump is similar to Jesus in that he was willing to take action to protect the church?
Well, I don't akin President Trump to Jesus. I want to be clear about that. I akin President Trump to Peter or Paul. Or David, more like
prophet,
he's more,
he's
more of a King David.
It was like the hand of God when it just missed that bullet, just missed it.
Without a question of doubt, Ash. I mean, of course, I said that to the president about an hour or so after. The hand of God is over his life, and he knows this. And that's why this rise of radical Islam, not Islam itself, but radicalized Islam that is coming against the Christian community around the world, even in your own country. My friend Bishop Kai Dewar, who wrote an open letter to His Majesty. Again, him and I have been friends for over 12, 13 years. And to see the rise of Christendom in your country, to see the rise of brothers and sisters of the cross who said this nation was founded on Christian principles. And yes, you can practice your faith, but you can't turn our nation into concepts that don't align to the Western world.
It's interesting, actually. If you look at the difference between the view of Dr. David Starkey, perhaps, and the view of Danny Kruger. Danny Kruger comes in as a political advisor, chief political advisor, probably the guy who will be chief of staff at number 10 Downing Street when Nigel Farage wins. But Danny Kruger comes in and says something that we're not used to. I'm not used to, and Pastor Mark, I don't think you're used to either, that the Constitution of the United Kingdom is so fundamentally based on Christianity that to have a secular country in of itself makes the Constitution ludicrous and makes it a failure. Now, look, at the end of the day, you can talk about separation between church and state, and there's no doubt the Founding Fathers didn't agree with Danny Kruger's view, but they still printed every dollar bill with "In God We Trust." And I just wonder whether Danny Kruger is right when he says to Nigel Farage that when the Constitution of the United Kingdom was developed, it was based on the assumption that everybody would be a Christian in that country, and the loss of that Christianity makes the Constitution in of itself make far less sense.
Well, I disagree with that. I think that the Constitution, like in the United States of America, is not a living, breathing document. It should be interpreted as the Founding Fathers wrote it. And so time does change, but the very fundamentalness of the nation, the very base of the nation is in the document of the Constitution. And if you lose that, if you change that with the fad or with the population, then you begin to lose the very
like they're doing with our Magna Carta right now, trying to get rid of jury service. But I mean, talking about the head of our church, King Charles didn't do an Easter message. Wouldn't you say this is a very important time to do that? What do you think? King...
Extremely disappointed. I mean, unlike King Charles, President Trump declared that remember, under Biden, during Easter, he had the Trans Day that took place on the most sacred holiday of all Christians around the world. Joe Biden and his administration have decided to have a day of recognition for the trans community, the transgender community. Well, that's not President Trump. He made that illegal. He cut that out, and that's what King Charles should be doing the same thing. Your nation, America, we're founded on Christian principle. Now, let me be very clear. When you go to Saudi Arabia or go to a Muslim country, you hear the prayer calls. That is beautiful because that's their culture. That's where they're from. That's a part of their heritage. You don't go there and try to turn it into a Christian nation because the majority of the people there are Muslim. But that's their culture.
But there is a significant difference, of course, between Britain and the United States of America. Because I remember when I used to work in the Palace of Westminster, I used to do tours for Americans, and I always used to say, well, it was incredibly difficult because there are things that are very, very similar, and there are other things that are an allergic reaction to the British system. The reality is, Britain is not a constitutional monarchy. It is technically a theocracy. The reason we call him Your Majesty is because he is head of the Church of England, and therefore this whole idea whereby, well, the Christians get Christmas, the Jews get Hanukkah, the Muslims get Eid. No. It should be in public policy that there is an official state religion of the United Kingdom. It is headed by the King of England. And if you don't like that, that's fine. You can be Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, whatever you want, but you are living in a Christian country. And when I see Sadiq Khan on Oxford Street turn around and say, well, look, if Ramadan clashes with Lent, then we're going to go with Ramadan because the Christians have Christmas. No. If any religious ceremony or religious occasion or religious holiday clashes with the Christian holiday in Britain, then the Christian holiday should take priority. And if you don't like it, leave.
But the king doesn't even like it. He's meant to be protector of the faith. He said he's changing it to protector of the faiths, which isn't actually in his gift, but that's outrageous, being as he is the head of the faith.
Right, yeah, he's not the head of all faiths. He's head of the Christian faith in Great Britain. I don't think no Muslims, no Islam or any Jews or any Sikhs or whatever their faith is, do not recognize His Majesty the King as the head of their church. No, only Christians do. And so the reality of it is it's weak leadership. I'm sorry, but it's just weak leadership.
And I want to ask you this question.
You are bowing down to that. You need to stand
weakness,
strong.
Yeah.
And Pastor Mark Burns, obviously, we come from very different countries, very similar and very different. Obviously, the idea that the President of the United States of America would be the head of the Christian faith in America is ludicrous to most Americans, and I accept that. But I just wonder what your comment would be on the following with King Charles III. He is the head of the Church of England, the Christian denomination which is established in Britain. And yet, he has obviously the Ramadan message, the Eid message. He is also the patron of the Oxford Mosque. Now, I will tell you something about the Oxford Mosque. It is the nearest very large mosque to Windsor. He is from the House of Windsor, and he is the head of state. But I've always said that it would be ludicrous for the chief rabbi to also be a bishop in the Church of England. It would be unbelievable for the cardinal, the Catholic cardinal of England, to also be a Sikh guru. I think if he is the head of the Church of England, surely he should not be the patron of the Oxford Mosque.
I think it's blasphemy, to be honest with you. If you're considered to be the head of the Christian church in Great Britain, it's blasphemy. That doesn't mean that you cannot. Again, I lead an organization called Spiritual Diplomats, and we work with all faiths behind the scenes. I work with Muslims, Jews, Sikhs, Hindus, everyone, to help bring peace in conflict zones around the world. And so working with people to have a common goal is good. That's the way Jesus would have it. But to be the head of the Christian church, not speak to the Christian community, but speak to the Muslim community, it's almost like you're losing your weight. And
I'll tell you what it actually is. What it actually is, it's an act of selfishness. It says, I have the right to be a Christian leader because I was born to be that Christian leader, but I don't have to do anything. I can have my cake and eat it. We live in a world where everybody knows their rights and nobody knows their responsibilities. And his right,
Amen.
His right is to live in Buckingham Palace. His right is to wear a golden crown. His right is to hold a sceptre which has a value which outstrips the national assets of most countries. But he has a responsibility to do a job, and I think there's far too much baby kissing and opening supermarkets and not enough standing up for Christianity. You have the final word, Pastor Mark.
Well, I agree with you 100%, Andre. I mean, the reality of it is he is the head of the church. Again, I consider it to be blasphemy to not use that. You have the title, so now walk in the calling. Walk in the duty. You have responsibility to the Christian community. Yes, you're the king of all Great Britain citizens. You're the king of all those who honor the crown. But when it concerning the faith, you have a specific title as head of the church. That is the Christian community. And so you need to walk in that assignment. I'm talking to you, Your Majesty. You need to walk in that assignment and be the head of the church that God has appointed and honors you to do.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pastor Mark. When are you coming over here?
Actually, I'll be coming in May. In May, I'll be back.
Cardinal Richelieu's conference. Now, who is it? Whose conference is it?
CPAC. That's going to be CPAC. It's the largest.
I will tell you.
Listen, Andre, it's the largest.
Can you get us VIP backstage passes?
Yes.
Thanks, I will tell you, the first time I went to the United States of America, I went to CPAC and I met the Sisters for the Second Amendment.
What is CPAC for our audience?
Conservative for Political Action Conference.
Right. It's the largest ever. Yeah. Matt and Mercedes Schlapp, yes.
Well, we're going to have a great time, man.
We absolutely have to do it, and we will see you there. That's Pastor Mark Burns.
Yeah, thanks, Pastor. See you soon. 0344 499 1000. It's Andre and Ash on Talk. Give us a ring.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, this is Talk, and the National Education Union are having their conference at the moment, and they've decided that they're going to fight against Nigel Farage. They're going to organise teachers right across the country to go for him and to ensure he's not elected. Are the public sector unions out of control? Ellie Hodges is with us. Ellie, by the way, don't buy Perplexity AI. Just don't buy it. That's why that got thrown a second ago. Perplexity AI is my research tool where I was trying to find out the following. Okay. What is the National Education Union? What unions merged together to get it? And when it failed to work, the phone got thrown.
So you better know and get it right, Ellie. You'll be next.
Oh, God. Yes, I think they all kind of merged into one, and that's the biggest one now.
Yes.
The majority of teachers are part of it.
Used to be the NUT, which suits them, actually, doesn't it?
NASUWT, Nigel de Grunchy was the old days.
Yes, I think it's all under one now, and that's the biggest teachers' union, which is why this is such a shocking story, is because they are the biggest teachers' union. It's not like there's some fringe teachers' union that not many teachers are a part of. This is the biggest one. This is where the majority of teachers
and they teach our kids. That's the worrying thing.
And, yeah, exactly. And they spent their whole conference not talking about what they're actually going to do to improve education. Instead, they focused on having Zach Polanski speak at it and spend the majority of the time talking about how they're going to stop reform. And a lot of people commented on my post when I originally put this out saying, oh my God, but trade unions have always been political and blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course they have. Yep. That's fine. But the problem is they spent the whole conference just talking about politics.
Well, they stay in their own lane that associates to their profession, not just like the BMA talking about Gaza. What's it got to do with medical services? Do you know what I mean?
The biggest political issue, it seems to me now, is that of Nigel Farage, which is every single political body that I can see, whether it be a political party, whether it be a trade union, whether it be a government department, they're all obsessed with how they will stop Nigel Farage. Now, I don't mean stop as in avoid him getting elected. I mean literally prevent him from governing if he does get elected. Yeah. How worried are you about that?
I am quite worried about it, and that's why I think that Danny Kruger, his job within reform is probably one of the most important ones in focusing on how they are going to be able to implement the things they want to implement with such a left-wing civil service, for example. That's a really big issue that we have. So I do think that that's a major concern. But I think reform have got a long way to go, but I do think that if they focus their time on trying to think, okay, but if we want to implement this, what are the barriers that we could face?
That's the first thing they've got to do is break that system where they pull a lever and nothing happens. They've got to fix it.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to have people in reform that have been in government before, but have been in government before, because they can see around the corners that people like Richard Tice and Nigel Farage can't, because they've never been in government.
What about yesterday, though? Our friend Simon Dudley, former leader of the Royal Borough of Windsor, I think he was deputy leader when I was political advisor there. I've always said to Simon, if you have a good political idea, just do the opposite. But he is somebody, and I think this is a serious point, Ellie. He is somebody who I think financed the purchase of the Channel Tunnel. He was the person that organised the disastrous renationalisation of rail track, but he did that without destroying British government bond values. He advised them not to renationalise rail track, but nonetheless they insist on doing it, but he did it in a way that the bond market would still support the UK government. Somebody recognised that the bond market was important, somebody was significant in Citigroup, and you can go on and on and on and on. His fundamental point was that the regulation over Grenfell has failed. The additional regulation makes it far worse. People can't get a home, and we live in a country where you end up more interested in the legislation than you do about the outcomes. So the example, in reality, is this. What does more damage, the fact young people can't get homes, or the fact that we've now got another Quango? What is the benefit of the yet more Quangos to deal with cladding? First Quangos didn't work, so let's pile more on top. Yeah. Is there a risk that we're just killing people for the sake of killing people? I mean politically, not literally. Just saying, look, this guy misspoke once, but let's just have a go at him.
I think that we have a political climate at the moment that is very much you step out of line, that's it, your political career is over. And in many ways it's always been like that. But especially with social media, with the fact that politicians can now just pick up their phone and tweet whenever they want, it comes with a lot of consequences when they might say something that is out of line. And if they say something, you know, a comment that is inappropriate, but they say it in a pub, for example, they don't have the same consequences as if they say it on social media. But I do think that the comment that he made wasn't appropriate at all.
Which was, he specifically said, we've all got to die sometime, it's the way you go, right?
Yes,
yeah, it's not ideal.
About Grenfell, it's not really the best decision to make, and I mean...
But here's the thing that shocked me about Grenfell when I discovered. So, they said, we need more fire inspectors. You don't need more fire inspectors. Let me tell you something that I discovered about Grenfell Tower. We mentioned it last night on the show. I didn't realise the reason these tower blocks are just grey concrete, and when you go inside them, they're just concrete stairs and a handrail made of metal. I hadn't realised that that was to protect them from fire risk.
Yeah.
Right?
So nothing can catch fire.
Nothing can catch fire.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't need to be a fire inspector for you to tell me Grenfell Tower was designed to have no cladding in order to avoid it going on in flames. Should we put cladding on it? My answer would have been no. But they go, we need a bigger budget for all these people.
Even when the fire was actually happening and the fire brigade said, no, stay in your flats, because of how it was designed was.
Yep.
But they came out and you could see the flames were licking up the side of the building. They said it was the equivalent of a petrol truck across each side, and so they saw that it wasn't being contained. So at that point they should, I mean, I don't want any, you know, that someone has to be held to account, but also what happened with these regulators
but what they designed was, they designed at Grenfell, once again, I hadn't realised this, I'm no building expert, basically it's a concrete box. Yeah. You walk into the door of the concrete box, it has a concrete box, fireproof door and a balcony. Got it, or a window, whatever it was. Right. If there's a fire in your flat, don't leave the flat, because all that's... if they leave your own flat, but don't everybody else leave the flat, because all it's going to do is flambe the interior and the fire brigade will come and put it out. Unless there's cladding on the outside. Let's get more inspectors. No, the inspector that didn't know building without cladding, designed not to have cladding, shouldn't have cladding. What type of cladding should it have? None.
Yeah, I do think that obviously there was lots of failures in many different aspects of that, but I do think that now we do have a situation where a tragedy happens or something happens in kind of any aspect of our country, and automatically people's response is, okay, let's now just spend loads and loads of money, and as you said, have more quangos, have all of this stuff.
See, that's what I mean, that's what I'm saying. When it was just one bloke in the local, there it would have been Kensington and Chelsea Council, there was probably 3 people, and they would, you know, be on top of everything. Now it's farmed out to commercial companies and quangos and this and that, and you don't actually know who's responsible, and they don't know their job as well.
Well, nobody was responsible for Grenfell. In truth,
that's generally how it is in society now. There's no actual names.
Nobody goes.
No one quit.
Bob,
no one resigns.
Nobody stands there and goes. Right, here is the Grenfell fire report. Boom, there's my signature on it. I'm responsible. What happens is, well, I was responsible for section 458 of the planning code, which I discharged. I ticked my box. And what has happened is, we got all the paperwork together, probably cost 50 times the cost of the original approval of the building just to approve that cladding, and the approval was... Can I just say what the approval was? Shite. Just shite. Forget, and apologies for the swearing, but the reality is the building is not just dangerous, but every building that's similar to it is dangerous as well.
It's still there. And it's like now, you know, you see it with the BBC, they come out and go, oh, this is terrible what happened at the BBC, like sort of suggesting it was different people, and then they go, lessons will be learned, and then that's the end of that, and the next thing.
But the thing is, in all of these different institutions, that system is there deliberately, as you said, so no one can take responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think, and there's no pride in the work anymore, which is a great shame. Anyway, we were going to talk originally about teachers versus reform, but I'll tell you what, we'll also got to talk about Sadiq Khan in a moment. But you're going to go to a break.
Yeah, because you know, we saw that, was it in Clapham, where we had all that loads of people robbing M&S, and one of the bosses of M&S and lots of other retail stores have said Sadiq Khan has totally lost control, which obviously obviously he has, and they're all gaslighting us. All the politicians go, no, it's better than ever. There's no crime. There's none of this. What you're seeing, you can't believe what you're seeing. Anyway, give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. Ellie Hodges is here, and we're going through all these stories. Let's talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Ellie Hodges. Ellie, crime is out of control in this country, isn't it? I will tell you the example that I had when I've told it loads of times on the channel, so apologies. But I was walked into, what was it? Sainsbury's in Ascot. And, you know, there was a shoplifter there. I grabbed him, tried to stop him. And the staff at Sainsbury's said, watch out. If the police come, they'll arrest you for grabbing him and they'll let him off.
For assaulting him.
Yeah, they'll just say, you've assaulted the shoplifter. Our policy is to let shoplifters away with it. Our policy is not to allow you away with assault. And they said that's why the security guards can't do anything, because the police will arrest the security guards. Shame on you, Thames Valley Police, for everything. But anyway, I do think that M&S now right to say that we have to start privately prosecuting people. The police have given up, haven't they?
Yeah, they absolutely have. And when you do have a situation where people are actually, as you said, hiring private companies to do the job of what the police should be doing, we're in a very concerning state. And I think the solution to this is very simple: is have a broken window policy like they did in New York in the 80s, and the statistics show that very clearly worked. So I think
solving small crimes and then
if you do focus on what people call petty crimes, I don't really believe in petty crimes because every crime is a crime, and if you let someone get away with something smaller, they will continue doing things until they end up doing a crime which actually seriously affects people. So I think that there's lots of things that need to be introduced, but with shoplifting especially, it's like £250 you can steal basically without anyone actually prosecuting you.
But of course the stupidity is that the policy should be, if we're prosecuting the security guard for assault, then the prosecution policy for shoplifting of that person should be zero. It should be 1 pence. But you can't say, oh, there you go, you keep that gear. Well, I know they don't say keep it, but there you go. You keep shoplifting. Look, there's a shop down the road. By the time we've arrested the security guard, you'll have away 5 shops. That should not be allowed. No,
it absolutely should not be allowed at all. And I think the more people realise they can get away with things, the more they will do it. Absolutely. And we've seen this in Clapham this week, we've just seen hundreds and hundreds of basically young people that have just decided, actually, if we all just storm shops, M&S particularly, at the same time, then we can get away with it.
Explain what they're doing. Are they racist? Are they saying that because it's perceived as a Jewish business, they should do it? What is it about M&S? What is it about? What's going on?
It's better food, isn't it? Better sandwiches.
I think in Clapham they were kind of doing it everywhere.
Right, okay.
All businesses. I don't think it was a M&S thing, but
yeah, but you're going to go M&S before Aldi if you're going to have a Cornish cruncher.
Exactly. But I do think that there's, polls show this as well, that young people don't trust the police as much anymore.
Well, nobody trusts the police because the police are on the side of the bad guys.
Yeah, but you can't blame young people as well. And I mean,
yeah, but that doesn't mean they've got to go out and rob shops.
No, I completely agree. But when they're being taught, it always goes back to the education problem as well. But when they're being taught in schools that concepts like white privilege, stop and search is racist, all these things, you would be walking around, especially if you were a person of colour, thinking, actually, oh, the police aren't on my side, they're racist, blah, blah, blah. And then you're more likely to commit crimes. But surely the police are racist against white people. Well, I just think there's so many issues, and the police should just take a colourblind approach. That's
I think it's time to abolish these big police forces. I don't think it's worked.
They want to make a single big one, don't they?
I think the problem with the police in general is that there's too many police officers that are actually not officers. They're not on the streets. They're actually just in manager jobs in an office, sitting there.
The admin stuff. And they're not the same quality that they used to be.
We need more police officers on the street.
Ex-military ones like we used to have.
Do you know when Robert Peel set up the police? Do you know he made it specifically illegal to be a police detective? It was a criminal offence for a significant amount of time. The first Metropolitan Police detectives operated illegally because what he said was, or rather what the concern was at the time, was that a police service that started by patrolling the streets very quickly would turn into an agent of the government to just investigate its political opponents permanently. I think we're at that now. I think maybe it's time to make being a police detective illegal again. And what will happen is, what would happen in those scenarios is that if you were the victim of crime, you would explain to a police constable what has happened. He would take all the statements and whatever, but there would be no proper investigations anymore. And I think that would be a better world.
Well, I think that police detectives do have a place, but the problem is that they're not doing their job at the moment. But I would
assuming their job is not on behalf of the College of Policing to eradicate the political opposition.
Well, that's got to go, hasn't it? It's not even a democratically.
I mean, a lot of people. I do not agree with on X when there are police officers who knock on someone's door and they put a tweet up, and then I know this went around with these two female police officers where they started taking videos of them, and then people were being abusive towards them two police officers. I don't think that that's appropriate, because at the end of the day, they're doing what they're being told to do.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think you're completely wrong. I think the warrant card in this country has rights and it has responsibilities. And if you turn around and say, I'm sorry, the only reason that I'm abusing the public is because Keir Starmer forced me to do it, I believe we should lock you up.
You're not allowed in military to say I was just following orders.
Yeah, that's right. That's the Nuremberg. In fact, it is the Nuremberg defence.
You've got to know yourself.
Imagine the law of the land now was that police had to gather up every Jew and stick them on the train. Would the warranted police officers that you're giving an example of say, well, it is just my job, it wasn't my fault, that was the law of the land? Remember the Amon Gert defence, just to be clear, Amon Gert's defence for his behaviour at the Plaszow concentration camp depicted in Schindler's List, he said to the Polish tribunal, the law of the Reich at the time said that lazy Jews should be shot, and I was merely carrying out the law.
I know, but I'm not saying that, and I don't think that sending Jews to concentration camps is the same as knocking on someone's door and saying you've posted something nasty, we need to investigate.
I think you're wrong.
That's how it sort of.
I'll tell you why I think you're wrong, and I'm not having to go at you because I know that you're trying to bring some balance to the show rather than defending bad people. But I think that. The first thing that the dictatorial regime will do is take control of the courts, take control of the Crown Prosecution Service, which is effectively the courts, and take control of the police.
And the university institutions.
And I believe that the political left are successfully doing that. And I believe that, we have our first political prisoners in Britain for, 300 years. We have people who were angry about Axel Rudy Cabana's murder in Southport who were thrown in prison.
Yeah.
Is Tommy Robinson a political prisoner? Question question mark. Some people think he is. Many people think he's not. I err on the he's not side.
I think he is. So that's balance.
But there we have it. But we now have political prisoners. We now have people. I mean, look at that. Look at that teacher in the Irish Republic. Admittedly, it's a different country. Who will not say a boy with a penis is a girl, and he's going to prison for life.
Where's his human rights for expression and religion? Because he's doing it on religious grounds.
No, I'm not saying that that's okay at all. Of course, I'm completely against that.
I wasn't blaming you,
don't think that someone. No. But I don't think that someone like Lucy Connolly should have.
She was definitely a political prisoner. I mean, and it was a disgrace because Starmer said, we're going to arrest them and then they'll be convicted at like no point in a court case, and sort of the message went to the judiciary and even to the defence lawyers, just find this person guilty. She gets 31 months when paedophiles with the word, like Hugh Edwards, for example, get found with the worst type of child abuse on their phones, get suspended sentences.
Hugh Edwards, let's remember, was spared prison because his defence was that his failure to go to Oxford and instead to go to Cardiff University left him so traumatised that he bought photos of an 8-year-old being raped. I mean, and the court accepted that. And the court accepted that.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
And Lucy
I mean, I accept that Cardiff University is a step down from Oxford.
But you look at Lucy Connolly, she had much actual real reason for mental instability. She'd lost a child, but due to the NHS actually in error, they got done for that. And so when she sees children that have been murdered, she just lashes out. And it's not like it incited anyone, really. You got to look at the Brandenburg test in America. No one read her tweet and went, oh, I'm going to go and do this now. It was outrageous, and also it was personally dealt with by Lord Hermit. Now, when is a case ever like that actually personally dealt with by the
only case that
it's so disgusting.
The only cases that Lord Hermit personally deals with are the ones that involve the Chinese secret services, the Chinese
and the Chagos Islands,
anything to do with
Lucy
the Chinese.
I think the main problem that people have is inconsistency with the way in which the police act, and I think that's the issues when they see, you know, people like Lucy Connolly being arrested and put behind bars, whilst we let people who have, you know, groomed and raped children walk around the streets free. That's where the issue is. But you know, but I still believe that individual police officers who are just doing what they have been told in some cases shouldn't be attacked. So, for example, when those 2 women that had to go around that person's house and say, "We've seen your tweet, blah blah blah." And then they had the whole Twitter talking about how they looked, talking about how they looked, etc.
I think if a police officer knocks on your door to say I'm very concerned about a tweet, I'm not a legal advisor. I think you should tell them to F off and shut the door. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But then again, they wouldn't come to my door.
But I do think though that something that could be really powerful is if the police force actually go on strike against all of this stuff that's happening. That's actually
what we
need.
I mean,
but they still could.
They can work to rule.
Yeah, exactly. And that if they actually show clear defiance against what's happening.
But they've brought in new people, haven't they? I mean, I was at. I don't go to many protests or riots or anything like that. Well, been to no riots actually, but. I mean, I went to that thing where you know, that Unite the Kingdom rally thing with Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson and all these people, and then the police came up to deal with the left, and obviously they tried to get them all in ones of a similar height altogether, and there was an Oompa Loompa one of these sort of 5'2" little dumpy people.
Really?
Yeah, and everyone was laughing. It was superb.
An Oompa Loompa riot?
No, it was of police. Oompa Loompa police.
All right, there's a whole unit, is there, of them?
Well, I think they put them together based on their height. And then when the little ones came...
We'll have different units for different things. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. Ellie Hodges is with us and we're just chewing the fat, but give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. It's Andre Nash on Talk.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is our show before Easter Sunday. It's Good Friday, and we've got some Easter eggs. The leftovers.
I thought it was a dirty protest.
Left over from Kevin O'Sullivan's show, and we're going to try some of the Easter eggs.
Let's try it, yeah.
But you don't know which one that is.
No, we don't know what it is, but we'll tell you whether they're any good. Here's one with a gold thing inside.
There's one with a gold thing inside.
No, yeah, we don't know what they are.
It's a biscuit egg.
What's this one?
It's a biscuit egg.
Here's the Easter bunny.
I made it myself.
You made this? Oh, right, what? This one?
That egg.
We can't see you, bend down. Yeah. Said the actress to the bishop. Where's your ears gone, man? Put your ears up, man. You need some Viagra. Rabbit Viagra. Bro, you can't hear the music.
No,
It's the music.
no,
going.
indeed.
Well, this one, what is this one then? Come on, you're the Easter bunny.
That one's got a gold flavour in it.
Okay, this is the posh one. Where,
It's not a pistachio one though, is it?
no, this is the...
It's the golden...
It's, we don't know. Right. Get out. Get out. Right. So this is the pistachio layer egg. Or is that this one? This one or t'other. Let's have a try that. Ellie, you've got one there, haven't you? You've got the Waitrose. Should we crack it open? Kev won't be angry. He wasn't going to take that home with
No
him.
one's going to be angry at me, are they?
Well, it's
if I
too
open
late now.
this?
Get it open.
It looks amazing.
Well, we'll see about that.
This looks.
Now, we've
actually
also got the Tesco's Finest caramelised biscuit chocolate egg. Shall we try that? Let's crack it open.
Oh, is this dark
Tesco's
chocolate
Finest.
Ooh.
Ellie's got the healthy chocolate. Why is it healthy? It's not.
Well, it's not. I
Dark
wouldn't say it's
chocolate,
healthy,
right.
but it's dark chocolate.
Yeah, this is the. It looks a bit light, doesn't it? It looks a bit like when you've if you're listening on the radio, it's sort of a caramel coloured. Is it a caramel egg? It's Tesco's Finest. Oh yeah, caramelised biscuit chocolate egg. Let's have a look. Tap it,
I don't
unwrap
want to
it.
break this. It looks too good.
There's nothing in it.
Oh, I should be broken out.
It's one over.
Good. This is good.
What do you think, Ellie?
I don't usually like dark chocolate, but it's actually really nice because it's got like toppings, loads of toppings on it. There's some white chocolate.
What's that, man? What are you having,
It's
man?
quite good. It's quite enjoyable.
I am on the caramel Tesco's
Quite
Finest.
good, isn't it?
It's basically,
This is very nice. Yes, yeah.
it's that Biscoff thing.
Oh,
What is wrong with you?
this is really good.
What? Are you doing the woman thing with chocolate?
Let me
What?
try some of that. No,
What's
hogging it.
that?
So, Ellie hogging it.
I
Ellie
am. This
hog
is
it.
mine. This is the best one.
The
This is the
Dubai,
Waitrose
the Dubai one.
Finest. No, I don't want Dubai
no,
chocolate.
it's all the rage. Everyone's having Dubai. Anyone is anyone
Have
is
you had
having.
Have you had matcha? That's the. Oh
What's
my god!
that?
I had
Anyone
that the other
is
day.
anybody.
Most disgusting. You know that green drink that everyone's obsessed with.
Teeth? That's
no,
not it, is it?
It's disgusting, and everyone thinks
That one's
it's
from
like.
Aldi.
Yeah, it's oldie, so it's not.
This
right.
is like, try
Well, I
this
don't
one.
think we got that one.
This is really nice.
So the
I'll
best
tell you
one.
what, the stupidity of this is...
Hold on, we
How
haven't
long-
looked in the chamber. There's a secret chamber. I'll use my vape and smash it.
I'm so
Oh,
messy.
look, yeah, look, there's golden eggs in there. Ellie, do you want to try a...
Oh,
Try gold. Do you want some of the... This one's Waitrose. It's got some nuts on. It's got nuts on it and
oh!
stuff.
I thought you had to like unwrap it. You actually like.
It's not a terrace chocolate
Oh.
orange. Tap it, unwrap it. The Waitrose, yeah, it's a
Oh,
good
it's the
dark
best
chocolate.
one.
Yeah, it's good, it's healthy.
Waitrose one's best.
Got nuts and almonds on it. So what's your favourite? I think the Waitrose one's
Waitrose one's the best, absolutely.
because it's a dark chocolate. Which one do you like? Have you
I haven't tried the Waitrose
try
one.
this? Try
I
this.
don't usually like dark chocolate, but it's
It's a
really
rich-
good because the toppings, it's rich.
I'm getting McVitie's dark chocolate digestive Leibniz biscuits.
But we didn't try this one, Tesco's Finest salted pretzel thing.
Try that one.
Right.
Now, Ellie, what do you think about the King not doing an Easter message? Were you furious as I was? Talking about Easter.
No, I
See how I
wasn't.
segued into that? Wait,
I wasn't actually because I think people are forgetting that doing an Easter message isn't actually something that we have done traditionally. The Queen only did it once during COVID. It's not something that we do. Last year, Charles kind of did a written message.
No, but he did an Eid one.
Yeah, I mean, he, said Happy Eid or whatever, and I do think that we should actually be celebrating Easter.
But he's the head of the church.
But it's not anything new.
But we're trying to promote the church now, aren't we? But he doesn't seem to be. He seems to be. I mean, no one's saying. People are having rumours. There's rumours. Does he like Christianity? Maybe he doesn't.
By the way, the new Archbishop of Canterbury looks like Tubbs from the League of Gentlemen.
It's a woman, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like Tubbs. Do.
Who's Tubbs?
Well, this is a local shop
from Miami
for local people. Tubbs. Does nobody think that the Archbishop of Canterbury looks like Tubbs?
I don't know, man. Oh, who is Tubbs? Yeah.
No, Tubbs is from the League of Gentlemen. It's a local shop. The local.
Oh, I missed all that because I was working. Now, Ellie, your main story is about the Education Union. Tell us about that. Tell us what's going on with that.
So, the National Education Union have had their annual conference this year, and I got my hands on the agenda of the day, and what they were talking about in there was basically all about how they're going to be stopping reform getting into government. So one of the motions was about reaffirming the union's opposition to racism, fascism, far-right politics and the divisive politics of Reform UK, and another one where it was just about, reinforce the union has its full force behind stopping a Reform UK government. They voted through that the teachers are going to go back to their schools, back to their classrooms and teach anti-reform rhetoric and have actually teaching materials on how to do that. So we had Zach Polanski speaking at it. The whole conference was basically just about how to stop reform getting into government and about left-wing politics, really, which is a disgrace because they should, our education system is in such a dire state, they should actually be talking about how they're going to make kids' education better.
But it won't matter now, because the Children's Wellbeing and Homeschooling Bill will require all parents to keep their children in school, whether the schools are good or bad. So it won't matter anymore. In the old days, you had the right to remove your child if they were being indoctrinated, but now you won't have that right anymore.
I mean, yeah,
typical communists.
There are so many issues with education at the moment, and something's actually really interesting that I found out the other day is if you can't actually, so you know how before you'd just be able to exclude a kid if they were really, really naughty or they did something outrageous. You could just exclude them, kick them out, that's it. Now it's much more difficult to do that because if they don't have somewhere else to go, if there's not any other school that will take them, they legally have to keep them there. So it means that even if a kid did the most outrageous thing possible, you have to keep them in the school.
Well, I mean, discipline's gone in schools. I remember when they got rid of corporal punishment in the 80s and just school crime went through the roof. I remember at my school we had the cane. People feared it. People feared. You didn't want your bottom spanked by that nutter deputy headmaster with his thin canes, and it was terrifying. Your suspension would be better, and so it was. Spare the rod, spoil the child, and we've seen that. And I think this is ultimately the results with what happened in Clapham. Because it's happening again by the police. Nothing happens. I heard about a story in TJ Maxx, some kids walking out and a guy saw a security guard stop and go, and took the stuff out and then just said, right, get off with you. And the bloke said, why didn't you call the police? He goes, because they don't come and we just end up like childcare for 5 hours with them.
The social contract has just completely broken down.
The police are on the side of the bad guys. I'm convinced of that. I'm absolutely convinced.
I don't think they're necessarily on the side of the bad guys. I just think sometimes it's easier to be on the side of the bad.
Well, that's the same difference.
But they're affecting. You've got the head of Marks and Spencer's coming out. This is going to affect. Surely with these big companies like Tesco coming out, they're going to have to listen.
The big question now for the police and the Crown Prosecution Service is going to be this: there is a direction of travel, which is more and more of my friends who are victims of lawfare. There are now private investigation firms that specialise in reinvestigating crimes. There are private security firms, and there have always been, of course, lawyers that you can hire privately. So it's almost a silly comment to make that. And there's private prosecutions. I think what will happen is there will be effectively a Marks and Spencer's constabulary established. It won't be legally a police force because the 2004 Police Act ensured that couldn't be done, although I'd repeal it. But there will be basically police. There will be guys with the rank of PCSO who are in M&S shops, and then there'll be criminal investigators that sit behind it, and then there'll be private prosecutions. And what will happen? The police and the CPS will become the Newsnight of this story, which is they still get all the budget, they still get all the staff, but they don't do any of the work. And they will become to criminal justice what Newsnight has become to television news.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong, and I just think that there's so many different parts of our society that are absolutely just completely ruined, and it will take a lot to repair them. So the police is one of them, education system, civil service, all of these different things that need to be completely changed.
Thanks, Ellie. That's Ellie Hodges. Thanks for joining us in that hour. That was brilliant. Now, coming up, we've got in the next hour after the news, we've got Bart Sibrel. Who's he, you say? Well, he's a guy who got punched by Buzz Aldrin for having the temerity to suggest they didn't really land on the moon. Find out, we'll be speaking directly to him from America. Thanks, Ellie, for coming on. It's Andre and Ash on Talk, back after the news.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is Good Friday. What an amazing week we've had. We've had this jet off to the moon. There's been a rocket that's gone up. It's going to go to the far side of the moon. This is the first time since Apollo 13. I'm so excited that my hair is all over the place. Look at that. Okay, now, at the time of the first moon landing, there was a major arms race. There was a major race to space between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. As a result, there was a reason, let's just say, for both countries to lie about what they had done. And there has always been a suspicion that the United States of America did not really land on the moon in the way that they claimed to have landed, and in fact it was merely a piece of propaganda in order to embarrass the Soviet Union into spending lots of money wasting their time in space. One of the more recent practitioners of this theory is Bart Sibrel. He's an investigative journalist. He got thumped by Buzz Aldrin because Buzz wasn't very happy. Bart, first of all, let's just... sorry, we've just eaten some Easter eggs, so apologies if I keep having a gluey... If there's a gluey rather than velvety texture to my voice. But Bart, do us a favour. Why don't you set up what you think, why you think it, and we take it from there, because it's just going to be so much easier if we do it that way around. Plus, I can have this glass of water.
Sure. Well, we shouldn't be surprised that the government lies, and there are counterfeit everythings at every opportunity. People cheat at the Olympics. They cheat at the Nobel Committee. They cheat by making counterfeit pounds. They cheat by making counterfeit Mona Lisas. If we look at picture number 2, which I had sent to your production staff, you can prove that the moon landing is fake with one photograph.
Okay, we've had a slight problem with our system, but don't worry, that picture is coming. Don't worry.
So what's the problem with that photo? Is it the shadows, or what is it?
Well, if you want to turn on screen share, I can do it myself on my end. I have it on standby as a backup.
Yeah, go on then.
So you want me to do screen share? I'll be glad to. But I sent them to you. They're numbered 1 through 13. And if you bring
guys, can you get it? It's numbered 1 through 13. Stop sitting there eating Easter eggs. They're numbered 1. Anyway, thanks. No, but anyway,
or you can turn on share. It says share is turned off. But basically, I can describe it. You go to Sibrel.com. S as in Sam, I, B as in boy, R-E-L.
Well, just explain why they can't be correct.
This photograph is on the homepage. Basically, go outside, look at 2 shadows of 2 people, 2 telephone poles, 2 trees, and the shadows will be parallel with one another. The sun's 1 million times bigger than the Earth, 93 million miles away. It's going to cast shadows parallel. They will never intersect under any...
What if there's a flash or artificial lighting on the camera? That would change it, wouldn't it?
Well, they didn't need a flash because it's 20 times brighter on the Earth than... I mean, on the moon than the Earth, because it has no atmosphere.
Well, I mean...
So, there's a... Basically, I'm telling you from a cinematographer's point of view. I'm telling you from a guy who used to worship the moon landings as the biggest fanboy.
Do you think Kubrick did it? There's a lot of rumors
to make fake scenes look real.
Yeah.
I can tell you from the photography that it was absolutely filmed in a TV studio. And if you would just bring up picture 2 or turn off, that I can't.
Sorry, just to explain to you, I've just discovered the reason that we're not bringing up picture 2 is because most people are listening on the radio, so we can't be that sort of interactive.
But was it Stanley? There was rumours Stanley Kubrick, he did that Capricorn film, wasn't it? O.J. Simpson was in it. There was rumours that he was involved in it.
Well, that's irrelevant. The question is, did they fake it or not? You can prove on radio that they faked it. I'll tell you how.
Okay.
Today, with 6 decades better technology, NASA is 8 years behind schedule to loop around the moon one time. When, in 1961, after NASA put 1 astronaut in space for 15 minutes, they set an 8-year goal that they were ahead of schedule to go 1,000 times farther than the space station, to land a rocket vertically on the first attempt, even though it took Elon Musk 5 attempts to do that with 5 decades better technology and 10 million times the computing power, then to turn off the rocket, drive cars, play golf, turn on another rocket, go from 0 miles per hour to 3,000 miles per hour, synchronize that with 1 millionth the computing power of a cell phone, fire another rocket, and come back all ahead of schedule on the first attempt, even though on Earth here, the South Pole, for some reason, took 4 attempts to reach. And today, they're 8 years behind schedule with 6 decades better technology.
But has there been any whistleblowers with... Has there been any whistleblowers?
Well, yeah, we have a deathbed confession. I wrote a book about this called Moon Man, the true story of a filmmaker on the CIA hit list. It's on the homepage of Sibrel.com, including the video of a deathbed confession testimony. Cyrus Eugene Akers was the chief of security at the Air Force's Special Operations Headquarters, where their CIA within the Air Force was located. As he was dying, he feared the judgment of God. He says, I have something to confess. I killed somebody back in 1968 at Cannon Air Force Base. The military police come in to investigate. They asked him, why did you kill him? He said, well, we participated in the filming of the first moon landing on a fake lunar set, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1968. My coworker thought it was morally wrong. I killed him to keep it a secret.
But why wouldn't the Chinese and Russians,
footage.
why wouldn't the Russians in particular, after John Kennedy had said, we will land on the moon, and they said it, why wouldn't the Russians have debunked it? And why is there's apparently a mirror that reflects a laser that was put on there at the time?
Yeah, of course the CIA is going to fabricate fake evidence for fake moon landing. They opened a rock that had been hermetically sealed that they claimed Neil Armstrong personally picked up and gave to the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. They opened it up a few years ago.
Because it's made of cheese. I love that.
Now, the Russians are blackmailing the United States. I could upload a picture of some politician to the internet with a prostitute and take them down, and now I can't even get $1 for it. The Russians are blackmailing us. I know someone who works for the Chinese Space Agency who says everybody there knows the moon missions are fake. They're blackmailing NASA for space station technology that Congress forbid them to receive. That's what a good chess player would do. They would blackmail somebody with the information rather than...
Okay, so I'll tell you what I buy, Bart. I'll tell you what I buy. The overwhelming case of it would have been very hard to have done, and we've still not done it again, I think is a reasonable point. A millionth of the computing power of a cell phone, and you've managed to land first time vertically. All of that makes perfect sense. But the whole idea that everyone could imagine this had happened. Imagine in 1990, as what happened effectively with Star Wars, which is the American government turns around and goes, look, do you know what? We just wanted to bankrupt the Soviet Union. We knew we couldn't laser nuclear missiles out of space, but we spent a big load of money developing Silicon Valley. It was a subsidy to the internet, to the burgeoning computing industry, and Star Wars was a joke. Boom. Why not then say, and we did exactly the same thing with the space program?
Well, because they held ticker tape parades for them. Okay. They put it on stamps. They put it on coins. They put it in the encyclopedia. They gave them medals of honor for being such good liars. If you tell the American public that they falsified the moon landing, and I assure you they did, there would be a revolt against the federal government. That's why they're not telling the truth about it.
What about I guess the subtext of what I've just said? I mean, Star Wars has been basically admitted to be a joke, right? Shooting.
Yeah, it's a clip in one of my films that they admitted that they rigged tests to make it seem more advanced than it really was. That's what they did.
There's no doubt. In the Kremlin, the leadership. The Politburo was sat there being told by their scientists, the Americans are lying. It's not possible to laser nukes out of space. It's not possible to do it. And yet the Soviets continue to spend more and more and more on their own version of the technology because they simply didn't believe the Americans would waste that enormous amount of money on something they knew to be impossible. But why, given that we know that Star Wars was not a hoax, they did pay for all of the technology, but it was just really to develop the computer industry in Silicon Valley. Given that we know that, why is it so hard to persuade people that the moon landings are fake?
Well, because it's a pleasant lie. They want to believe it's Santa Claus for adults. People who are intellectuals who don't believe in God have made the moon landing their God, and they will not insult their God. I talked to a college professor teaching aerospace at one of the most prestigious universities in America. He said if an Apollo astronaut went on national TV and confessed that the moon missions were fake, he would still think he walked on the moon anyway.
Well, you notoriously got punched by the second man on the moon. Tell us about why Buzz Aldrin punched you. Take us through that story. Had you been doorstepping him a while, and was he worried you were speaking the truth? Why did he punch you?
Well, if I just think about it, what if it were me? I mean, if I walked on the moon and someone thought it was, shot in a TV studio at Cannon Air Force Base, I would find that hysterically funny. And I said, swear on a Bible, I would say, sure. What about 2? Would 3 make it better? But the fact is, a sword with no point causes no injury. It's like I walked up to him in front of his wife and said, oh, your mistress says hello. He's angry because I'm telling the truth. I know somebody who was at some Hollywood party with him when he was drunk as a skunk, and he said, you know, we didn't go to the moon. He said it on video accidentally a few years ago. We didn't go to the moon.
Well, what about now?
Know why we didn't?
Well, the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, you spoke to him. Now, he always stayed out of the public. What do you think he was hiding, that he didn't land on the moon? He sort of got depressed and never sort of was seen in public again much. And what happened when you met him? He didn't punch you, did he?
No, he had better sense than that.
He was a more classy man, which is why they allowed him to go first.
2 of the 3 people on the first mission to the moon only gave interviews if the President of the United States asked them to. And my film on the homepage of Sabrel.com, we show a clip of Neil Armstrong speaking on the 25th anniversary, where he says, perhaps someday you'll be able to remove one of Truth's protective layers. The main reason, if I can go back to Andre's question, here's really why they won't tell the truth about it. In my book, I include a lot of information that was not in the film, the deathbed confession, and interviews I did with widows of Apollo astronauts who asked that I not publish their interview until after their death, including the widow of Betty Grissom, who was married to the man who was going to be the first man to walk on the moon until, in January 1967, without permission, he took a bunch of reporters up to the top of the rocket and affixed a huge lemon and said, the moon rocket is a piece of junk. We are at least 10 years, not 2, from going to the moon. He personally received death threats from generals in the Pentagon, to where on the day he died, he was under Secret Service protection. I interviewed his widow for 4 hours. She said on January 26, 1967, he telephoned her from NASA and said this, "Hon, for some strange reason, the CIA is all over the launch pad today inspecting the equipment. I've been here for 8 years, never seen the CIA here a single time. Why are they here today?" The very next day, he's dead from faulty equipment. It's not just that they faked the moon landing, it's that they murdered their own people to cover it up. JFK's own relatives say he was murdered by the CIA. Robert McNamara admitted on his deathbed,
yeah, but not because of the space program, though.
War started.
Yeah, but that wasn't because of the space program, was it? That they would murder JFK.
Well, the point is, they're willing to kill their own president.
Well, we know that about the CIA.
The Vietnam War. On a fabrication. So what is that compared to faking a TV picture?
Let me just ask you this question. Have they gone this time? Are they going this time? I know they're not. There's no intention to land. But what has and what has not happened in your view?
Well, I don't know. As naive as it may seem, I still give them the benefit of the doubt. I postponed saying they faked the moon landing as long as possible. We found classified footage. It's on the homepage of Sabrel.com of them faking part of the moon mission right in front of your eyes. It's in my film, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, which was financed by someone building rockets for NASA who knows it was fake, who gave us the money to produce and expose this film.
What does Elon Musk say?
The moon mission.
What does Elon Musk say? What is it? Because they're his heroes, you know, Buzz Aldrin, and what? Surely he believes we went to the moon, and he's one of the cleverest, you know, geniuses.
He actually has indicated the opposite. He says the Apollo accomplishment is a technological and historical anomaly at a place. Then he says,
yeah, but technological and historical anomalies do happen. The fact it's an anomaly is not in of itself evidence it didn't happen.
Well, if, the second thing that he said is, in order to repeat the moon landing, he's going to need 30 times the fuel. Now, von Braun said that himself. He says it's impossible to go to the moon and land in one rocket. There's not enough fuel. You have to make multiple fuel trips to do that first. NASA engineer just said that. He says to go to the moon, we're going to have to lift 30 trips of fuel in order to have enough fuel to land on the moon, turn off the engine.
Petrol. But I mean, tell us about, because we've got to go soon, tell us about the press conference when they came back. A lot of people are saying they were on maybe some sort of drugs that were given to them by the authorities. There was a very strange atmosphere, and their personalities were very strange at the press conference when they landed.
It wasn't drugs. They couldn't afford that. They just used Corvo.
Corvo?
It's tequila. But yeah, you're right. They looked like they're at the funeral of their mother, instead of the winning locker room of the World Cup. They even have secret, almost hidden in the table, teleprompters to prompt them on what it was like to walk on the moon. And yeah, their behavior is very strange. So let me just recap.
But let me just one other thing. I mean, it's not unusual to discuss what is going to be said in a press conference or to rehearse it in advance.
Well, again, if I may point out, this is the problem that we have. You guys listening to your show before coming on, obviously conservative, obviously questioning the government, obviously libertarian, and yet you yourself are tempted to believe this lie because it's a pleasing lie.
We're brainwashed.
It's telling you something you want to hear.
Confirmation, boss. But look, we've got your long lost brother here, Phil Dave. Phil doesn't believe it. Here we go. Look, Phil. Have a chat to the man that was punched by Buzz Aldrin.
Well, it is a great privilege to speak to someone who is possibly going to be the slickest person I've ever heard dropping plugs every 2 seconons. So it's great to chat to
and you like his dress sense.
Yeah,
well, hang on a second. If you want good plugs, go to Sibrel.com.
Yeah, no. But no, in all seriousness,
it's $10 in your PayPal account.
No, in all seriousness, this is something I've often questioned, not because I don't want to sort of flat out say it didn't happen, because obviously I haven't done as much research into this as you have, but what I question is when you look back at historic archive footage from, say, the world of 1960s television, and I'm talking about literally just TV stuff in a studio, it is quite amazing how they managed to get that very same technology to work on the moon, where there's no electricity. So
batteries.
I'm sure that there have been many people who could explain it, but I was quite baffled that in a day and age where I'm fairly sure that mobile phones weren't around and that cameras that sort of people with video camera and stuff didn't necessarily exist, it is extraordinary just how clear, for those days, the footage actually is.
Well, they had a long extension cord. And,
but I mean, that in itself, I mean, everything that you've said obviously sort of does sound credible, no doubt about it. And I'm sure there are plenty of people in the US, officials or what have you, would probably deny everything you said, but, of course they will do. But in terms of the dismissing of it in itself, the mere fact that it was shot, as we say, in such impressive.
Well, they made a special camera for it. They did at Kodak. I remember they made a very.
But what do we say did? What do you say, Bart, did, and what do you say did not happen? But I mean, presumably Apollo 13 still had all of its problems. I mean, and people have gone to space. I mean, those people that believe that there are no satellites are few and far between.
No, they have satellites. The problem is they don't have enough fuel to land on the moon and come back until they ferry 30 trips, like they've said multiple times recently, including Elon Musk. They were on the rocket. We found footage that says do not show to the public at the beginning of the reel.
So they definitely
on the homepage.
So
they're faking. Wait a minute. They're faking being halfway to the moon. Okay,
I see.
That means they cannot go halfway. That means the Apollo equipment could not leave Earth orbit. They're creating a 1-foot model and pretending they're looking back at the Earth halfway to the moon.
Is this the Van Allen belt?
That's
part of the problem too. The radiation.
It's what would be called by the Walter Mitty Hunters team, who track down fake people who fake being in the military. It's what's called a bloater. That is to say that some of this took place, but it's been massively exaggerated. So they got into a rocket, they blasted off, but they did not land on the moon.
Correct. They went as far as they could have gone, which is the way you would falsify it. Maybe they could have orbited the moon but not landed. We would then see real lunar orbit. But what we're seeing is a fake shot of the Earth as if they're halfway to the moon looking back. They claim they put the lens to the window and we're seeing a little blue Earth. But the lights come up. It's a 1-foot model of the Earth. The thing's dated 2 days into the flight. They're clearly faking being halfway to the moon. 2 NBC news directors agreed they're faking being halfway to the moon. They flew me to New York.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the opening of the Beijing Olympics. Now, I know this sounds silly, but the opening of the Beijing Olympics, where there was a little girl singing, and they picked a singing girl, and they picked a pretty girl lip syncs while the other girl sings. When they have genuine fireworks at the Bird's Nest Stadium, but they're worried that the smoke of the fireworks will not come across nicely on camera, so they actually did fake
CGI, wasn't it?
CGI fireworks.
Right, yeah.
And I suppose part of it now is, it seems to me that it's bizarre that they don't admit that, because look, the Soviet Union was crushed based on Star Wars, based on encouragement for war in Afghanistan, and the money that the Soviet Union spent on the space program was extraordinary, and one would assume that was a legitimate tactic, wasting the Soviet Union's money in some respects. Why not admit
Makes
it
sense.
for all of it?
Yeah.
Well, they were wasting the taxpayers' money, and they were murdering people. The CIA killed the first man who was going to walk on the moon because he wouldn't cooperate with the fraud. That's the widow's testimony.
Have you had
to me
threats?
in a
Have you had
4-hour
any death
interview.
threats yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us.
In fact, when I found this footage of them faking being halfway to the moon, I was immediately abducted by the CIA. I was interrogated. I was drugged to the point of vomiting. I escaped.
Oh, I've had that.
I peed in a cup to prove that I had been drugged by them. I put it in a lab, and the lab was broken into, and my urine sample was stolen. This literally happened to me.
Yeah, but how come
It's
they
in my
still
book.
let you out alive? I mean, if they wanted to.
Well, there were good guys in the government who, as best as I could tell, were working for United States Marine Intelligence, called the MCIA, Marine Corps Intelligence Activity Department, and they rescued me. This is very true. People in the government know that I'm right. My whistleblower, who was there when they filmed it,
can I ask you this?
his son was put under FBI protection a couple of years ago because of this. The United States Senate Intelligence Committee investigated my findings.
Why'd you care?
Just a few years ago.
Not about. I mean, obviously, why you would care about being abducted and whatever is important. But why do you care whether they went to the moon? Because you've dedicated a significant amount of your life. And by the way, I applaud you on this, because I think it's absolutely right that everything the government said should be questioned in the media and should be debated, whether the alternative theory is right or wrong. It's good that it happens. But why care this much?
Well, Andre, that's a beautiful question, and here's the answer. Because the greatest event in human history is not putting a man on the moon and coming back. The greatest event in human history is the most powerful nation on earth corruptly falsifying mankind's greatest event and murdering their own people to cover it up, and the truth is still not known. These people are at large. You don't say, Andre, hey, one child disappears in my neighborhood every 30 days, been going on for 57 years. It's one of those things. No, you do something about it.
But you also presumably make a living. You make a living from this, from books and interviews and stuff. Obviously not us. We can't afford to pay you anything.
Well, I make a little bit of royalties that equal about my, $600 a month Social Security payment. The people who lied about it are making millions of dollars. In comparison, that's the fallen world we live in. Apollo is a name for Lucifer in Revelation 9/11. And so
they always do
mankind's
things like
greatest
that, don't they?
accomplishment
Trick
is a
us.
lie. What a surprise.
It's like they're playing with us, isn't it? Like when they put that pyramid with the all-seeing eye on, like in front of us. It's like they're toying with us. Anyway,
the Artemis rocket is 322 feet. Skull and Bones logo.
Yeah, tell me about it. And also the Fabian Society, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Anyway, we could go on all night. It's very interesting. Thanks. That's Bart Sibrel, the man who was punched by Buzz Aldrin for actually saying the temerity that he didn't land on the moon. But actually, I believe him now. I don't think we went to the moon. We're all in agreement. He didn't go to the moon. Anyway, Phil Dave will be on next, going through all the papers and all the other stuff that he's been researching throughout the week. It's Talk with Andre Nash, 0344 499 1000. Have some of this. Yeah.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and we've got Phil Dave here as well. Woo. Now, Phil, we've got some... We're not allowed to say great news, have we? But this is a press preview. We've got some breaking news.
I was going to say breaking news. I think is probably slightly more appropriate because 3 people have been charged after an arson attack on Jewish volunteer ambulances in Golders Green in North London. So 4 vehicles belonging to Hatzalah were destroyed in the early hours of the 23rd of March. And this is Hamza Iqbal, who's 20, and Rehan Khan, who's 19. Both are from Leighton, along with a 17-year-old boy from Walthamstow who cannot be named, are charged with arson, reckless as to whether life would be endangered or not. So all 3 were arrested in East London on Wednesday and are due before Westminster Magistrates Court on Saturday.
And just to be clear,
3 have been charged with arson following
just to be clear, no
attack.
Suggestion that's a terrorist link.
That is not what is being reported.
It's late. It's late. That's why I'm yawning.
Counter-terrorism police are investigating, but the incident has not been declared as terrorism at this stage.
Never is.
So there you go. So look, I mean, they've been charged with arson, and I think that sort of one of the first things to take away from that straight away is the number of people who were very quick to jump on the bandwagon and say it was an inside job. Inside job, that it was the Jewish community who wanted 4 nice, shiny new ambulances, and they set fire to their own ambulances in order to do it. And it genuinely, this was conspiracy that was out there on social media.
Well, there will still people that believe that, and that's expected. That's what they all, it pretty much will blame anything on it.
No serious person said that.
Well, I hate to tell you, it was flying around social media, and it was quite rife. I actually I'm not on social media personally anymore, but I do still have to use it through work accounts. And believe me, that nonsense was out there, and people were buying into it. So
it did happen in a mosque where a car was set alight, and they blamed it on an Islamophobic attack, and they arrested. It was a Muslim man that had done it himself. So it does happen on that side. There is a history of that.
And the point being is that 3 have now been charged with arson. So it'd be interesting to see how this case progresses.
And was it a mental health incident as usual?
Well, no, this is charges going on.
That is not declared at this stage.
Yeah,
So the counter-terrorism police got them.
Counter-terrorism police continue to investigate, but it is not being declared. It's not
a terrorist incident.
At this stage.
Must be a mental health problem.
Who only knows?
By the way, just a matter of interest. What is this ambulance service?
Oh, Hatzalah. Look, Hatzalah is basically like the Jewish version of St John's Ambulance. It is actually a community ambulance service that is for everyone. It's a voluntary
It's not just for Jews. They'll pick anyone up.
No, totally. It's for everyone.
But what happens, if there's, without being funny, there's a fun run or something, they turn up?
What do you mean, sorry? If there's a fun run?
Well, no, St John's Ambulance will turn up for a fun run or whatever.
No,
so obviously you don't have an NHS paramedic at your average school fete.
No, absolutely. So I think the biggest difference, of course, is Hatzalah is nowhere near as large as St John's Ambulance. That's the first thing to point out. So when everyone sort of suggests that it is quite restricted as to where it goes, that's because it's just not a very large organisation. It's a very impressive organisation for what it does.
You wouldn't expect a Jewish organisation to have a significant reach in, say, Ballymena, right?
Well, the fact that you've got a total of around between 270 and 320,000 Jewish people in the whole country, it stands to reason that it wouldn't be a very big service. What I do think is quite impressive is the way that in London alone, I was reading up statistics that state that Hatzalah actually saved the NHS from dealing with an additional 6,000 call-outs a year. Now,
but how does it work then?
Well, it works in the sense that they have an emergency number that one can dial. You have to go through their website. It's obviously not quite as quick as 999, but there is definitely a number that one can call for emergency help from the Hatzalah
But you can't phone the St John's Ambulance.
I don't know.
How do you get in
I've
touch
never
with them?
tried. St.
Well, they
John's.
mainly do events, don't they?
Yeah, the St John's ambulance tend to deploy at things. They tend to go. It's the FA Cup final, and there are 8 St John's ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact, I think the bottom line is that the fact that anyone thinks that City is in any way appropriate to show your disgust with what's happening, assuming that it had something to do with the Middle East, that is not confirmed. I'm speculating here.
No, it'd be a mental health incident.
Assuming that they are expressing their disgust at what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, I just think it's absolutely staggering to believe for a second that it's in any way appropriate to attack a voluntary medical service that not only helps a community way beyond the Jewish community of northwest London, it actually also helps ease the pressure on the NHS. It's quite baffling.
It's actually backfired as well, because within a few days they've raised £1 million, which is enough to double the amount of ambulances, and God knows how much they've raised now. So they've actually caused...
Should the NHS have given them free ambulances?
I think it's important to stress that what the NHS has done, from my understanding, is they have loaned them ambulances.
Oh, OK. Well,
I don't believe that they're replacing the ambulances.
They'll buy it, yeah.
But even so, I mean, even if they don't necessarily sort of give them, then now the Hatzolah charity is in a position... The Hatzolah charity is now potentially in a position to actually buy them anyway.
I'm totally fine with loaning the ambulances to them. What I would say is, even though they've been a victim of crime, the idea of giving them the ambulances, I would have been against.
No, I agree. I think it should be insurance company that pays.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly what that's there for.
Anyway, Le Papier.
Better still, actually, if they're actually, I tell you what, better still, if those who are charged with arson actually do get convicted and thrown in, part of their punishment maybe potentially could be actually repaying the money. There's a wacky idea.
We don't do that enough. Victims of crime don't sue enough.
No.
They probably haven't got
anyway,
anything.
I'm so sorry.
The Eye Weekend, UK Strava leaks threat running app reveals location of 500 military staff at British bases. UK military personnel in restricted areas are routinely revealing their ID and location on popular fitness app. Personal details of 519 individuals at sensitive British military sites have been posted since January 2026, and you know there is a threat out there.
I'm shocked by this, because there was that story of the way Fitbits were being used in the middle of the desert by American people, and this story ages ago was that your Fitbit or your app or your phone can give away the location of your military base. I mean, I would suggest to you, if suddenly there were 500 people using the fitness app with a UK mobile phone in Uganda, right, at the same time, then it's probably a military base.
But doesn't this just go to show the absolutely devastating lack of investment and importance we have placed upon the military? The fact that we've actually got those who are serving the armed forces who thinks it's in any way acceptable or indeed a good idea to wear technology designed to track is just bizarre. Who on earth thinks like that?
What difference does it make? When Donald Trump said we don't have a navy, we don't, do we?
Of course we don't.
We had to borrow a ship off the Germans to do an exercise.
In the grand scheme of things, you know, I don't deny there are people of the armed forces, and make no mistake, I have I promise you, huge deal of respect for anyone who is prepared to serve the king and country. But in terms of resource that has been thrown into it, or not, as the case may be, we simply don't have a military. But
remember, you get 16 grand an hour. 16 grand. 16. You get 16 grand.
You get 16. I don't remember that.
You get 16.
That much.
Oh, never mind. Let's move on.
Anything you've seen, Phil?
Right. No. Well, I was just waiting for. So if you get 16 grand,
if you get 16, you get 16 grand a year to run into machine gun fire in Afghanistan. But the guy who sues you on behalf of the terrorist gets £600 an hour.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely extraordinary, absolutely ridiculous. Of course, we don't invest anywhere near enough money into the military. It's just as simple as that. And it's shameful. It's successive governments have put it on such a low down level of a priority list. In fact, I don't even think it's on a priority list at all, really. You know, the pathetic numbers they throw about in a bid to try and sort of say, oh, we're spending X amount of GDP on military. Rubbish. You're not spending any near enough.
They just lie, don't they? And
I don't care how much it is. They should prioritise. They should say, in now more than ever, that this country needs to ramp up pretty rapidly its efforts to protect ourselves.
Especially now Donald Trump's not going to protect us, possibly.
Well, I don't blame him at all. Why would he? He's not going to get anything in return for it. Why should he protect the UK?
No, he's right. Lost behind enemy lines, hunt for US crew member. And if we go into the Times, Saturday, Iran shoots down US jet. Race to find missing airman after crewmate rescued. Second plane believed to have crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The US military was carrying out a complex search and rescue mission last night for the missing crew member of the American fighter jet shot down over Iran. Images from the crash site appeared to show the wreckage of the F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet in Kaguleya province, southwestern Iran. Another photograph published showed an empty ejector seat. So this is very bad news, and what happens is now it will depend on if they do catch him. Will it force Trump to pull back, or if he's dead and he's found to be killed by Iran, that will then cause it to be stepped up? What do you think about this? It's a knife-edge situation.
Oh, it isn't. It isn't. I mean, obviously, this is sort of one of the first major mistakes, I would say, of this particular conflict. But make no mistake, obviously, it's not ideal. But at the same time, you don't go into a military conflict, especially with a country like Iran, that is known to have really quite serious weaponry behind them, and not expect something in the way of casualties, or dare I even say...
This is the first one they've shot down.
Exactly.
But in a month or something.
Dare I even say that revolting terminology, collateral damage. So as far as I'm concerned, as very, very sad it is and very deeply concerning it is for the member of the military, member of the Air Force that is potentially sort of at risk here, the awful truth is that is war.
No, but I'm not saying that. But American public will not. If he's paraded on telly and they're torturing him or something, then they're going to say you've got to pull out. Or if he's been killed or murdered, then they're going to say you've got to go and really cause some damage. So this is a pivotal moment. I mean, you look at the Iranian hostages when Carter changed over to Reagan. There was about 140 or something hostages there. It changed politics, and this is a pivotal point.
I get that completely, but at the same time, I think that when you consider that Trump has been saying for the last week or so that we are going to send Iran back to the Stone Ages and sort of really sort of like start bombarding them quite hard in places that still pose a massive threat to not just the Middle East but the Western world as well. To be honest with you, this was already ramped up over the last week. I think that what we are forgiven for thinking that maybe this is not quite as full on as you might sort of otherwise realise it is that because that the Western media seems so hell-bent on watering down the efforts that are going on over there. This is a major military operation that is absolutely essential to the survival of the Western world. I know people can't get their heads around it. I know
it's the Trump derangement syndrome, isn't it?
That
takes over.
They simply don't believe it because they believe this is Trump throwing his weight around. It's essential. Look, if you look at his record when he was in office the first time around, he didn't even go to war the first time around. So it's not that he wants to. It's necessary, sadly.
Anyway, this is a massive story in The Sun. It's unbelievable and exclusive. Sadiq guards leave bag of guns in London street. Can't make it up. Armed police guarding London Mayor Sir Sadiq Khan, shortly to be, I think, Lord Sadiq Khan, left a bag of guns on the street outside his home in a shocking security blunder. 5 officers are believed to have forgotten the hold-all. Found on the curbside at 9:30 on Tuesday in the evening. The night Ferrell used ran riot in Clapham, just a short distance from the Mayor's South London family home. A pregnant passer-by who saw the bag riskily kicked it before telling her partner he took it in the hand, which included an MP5 semi-automatic Heckler and Koch carbine, a Glock pistol, taser and ammunition. I mean, this is some serious hardware, and they've just left it in the streets. The man who called cops said there could have been mayhem if the wrong people had found that bag. I mean, just to put this in perspective, Ken Livingstone and Boris Johnson, when they were mayor, used to just get the tube or ride their bike around. He has to go with heavily armed guards in bulletproof Range Rovers, and this is unbelievable.
And he's the one, by the way, who's telling us that London is a safe city.
And he's the ultimate
he's travelling around in armed guards, and he tells us London's a safe city.
Yeah, he's just gaslighting us, and he's the Commissioner of the Police, so ultimately it falls to his responsibility, but he won't be responsible as usual. It's Talk with Andre Nash and Phil Daves here, and we're going through tomorrow's papers tonight. We'll be back after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Asher, what's next?
Right, we got the Guardian. One still missing after US jet shot down. That's the story of the F-15E plane shot down, and there's one pilot. Well, they say pilot, but I think there's only one pilot aboard. It's probably a navigator, because I remember there was John Nichol, friend of the show, got shot down over Iran, and people always called him a pilot. He said, well, no, I was the navigator. So I don't think you have two pilots, but maybe I'm wrong. But it says one US service member has been rescued after the US F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet was shot down over Iran, but they can't find the other, and we know the horrendous things that some of these Islamist groups will do. They're often told to, try and kill themselves rather than be captured alive. It depends who captures them. If it's the government, they may use him like Saddam Hussein did, and they were mistreated a bit, but they were. I mean, obviously John Nichol was beaten up, and his partner John. I can't remember his surname, but they were both roughed up, but they weren't killed. So they're out looking for that, but I think this is a pivotal point. And blast off again, astronauts leave Earth's orbit, or have they? They're probably just in NBC studios, you know what I mean, filming. This is apparently how it works. So, Phil, have you been convinced that we didn't go to the moon then now after that?
Well, no, it's not about being convinced. Like I said, I've always...
You can't sit on the fence, Phil. Did they land on the moon or not?
As I say, my issue is I do have questions over it. I would like to think it did happen, if that's any consolation.
Well, we all want to think that, but you've got to make a decision, Phil. Did they land on the moon or not? I just think it's a little too curious that there were really good images to come out of the moon landing when so
we know...
It's a no. Phil says they did not...
we know that 1960s television was not known for being the sharpest of imagery, and that was when it was here on Earth.
Do you remember Top Cat?
I do remember.
Boss Cat, as they called
Top Cat, yeah. Top Cat was quite good.
We'll be taking all your calls after midnight.
I would imagine you were a TC fan, were you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you're just going to have splinters in your bum crack because you're not coming down either side?
I keep an open mind.
Likes that, no. He keeps an open end. Anyway, from Top Gun to the National, she must have been a pilot who went into ballet. And of course, ballet now is one of the protected, because AI can't do ballet. So, say you're in computer programming, it's time to retrain to ballet, because dancers will always be required. The FT weekend. Crackdown on Japan cyclists. Can you read it? My eyesight's no good. I'm getting old.
Crackdown on Japan cyclists.
Why are they doing that? Why are they? We're going to find out when we get this. It's so small, even Andre.
Yeah, no. So a man cycles past a cherry blossom tree in Japan last week. Police this week started handing on-the-spot fines of up to 12,000 yen, which equates to roughly $76. So that must be around. £60, yes, 55, £60. So to Japanese cyclists who break new laws that came into force after years of free reign, using headphones, riding on the pavement, leaving bikes in parking spots reserved for elderly drivers, holding open parasols while cycling one-handed.
That's just dangerous.
Carrying unevenly loaded bags are among the new offences. So there you go, that's what Japan are doing.
Fascinating.
But actually, hello flipping Lou, that actually we see a country who's starting to crack down on cyclists misbehaving.
Yeah, it's about time we had some more draconian laws. The Daily Telegraph, Labour to unleash up to 12,000 shoplifters. This is the news that now if you get under a year's sentence, they just go, go out, just do pass go, get your 200 quid, and you can just leave. So it's going to apparently cause even more shoplifting because nothing's going to happen. Even if you are arrested, which is very unlikely, you're going to get less than a year in prison, which under the new rules mean you just get a suspended sentence and nothing ever happens to you. So we're going to hell in a handcart.
Also, so would appear.
Marmalade under these new, because we're joining the EU. Starmer's going against the biggest democratic election in this country and just saying, sod you, Jack, as he does for everything. We're going to join the EU, but it's Brexit in Beano, isn't it? in all but name. So that's what we're going.
Yeah, marmalade is to be renamed under Sir Keir Starmer's
Citrus.
EU reset. It will have to be sold and labelled as citrus marmalade as a result of planned food deals with Brussels. So apparently the change is required under a proposed reset where Britain will adopt the bloc's food regulations in a bid to boost trade and reduce red tape for British exporters. And basically, as you say, Ash, sticking two fingers up to all of those who voted to leave this nonsense behind us.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
And unbelievable.
That's the dictatorial.
And
the
what other
dictators
marmalade? There's not another type of marmalade. I mean, it can only be citrus. You can't have like raspberry marmalade, can you? Or can you? Let us know.
Jam,
Zero.
can't you, I suppose. But,
Can you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't really sort of care to. I don't like marmalade. So
No,
I
a
don't
lot of
really
people
care.
don't. But do you like jam?
Oh yes.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's
I'm a
just-
jammy kind of person, as people.
I mean,
told me.
marmalade's a sort of tangy jam, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, if you say so, I don't like it.
I don't really know.
know.
Kemi Badenoch has told the Telegraph she will remain Tory leader whatever the results of the May elections. She said, it's absurd to suggest I would be replaced. She says, I'm going to fight on. And apparently her popularity rating is going up. She's performing much better. What do you think, Andre?
Yeah,
She's doing better, isn't she?
Yeah, she's doing better.
And in PMQ, she's really coming to the fore, isn't she? She's really making him look like a fool, which isn't that hard anyway. The Daily Star. Someone's in for a whole lotto pain. It won't be you. Yeah, I read this earlier. Apparently there was a £10 million winning ticket and it's just past the threshold of 180 days and they've been looking for them and unfortunately you don't get it now and it just goes to a good cause, whatever. It's probably some opera or something it goes to. You know, it always never goes to a really good. It goes to.
Well, the only thing I think you got to hope for their sake is that the individual at the centre of this, who has not claimed in time, maybe forgot they bought it, and if they've forgotten,
was in South London,
they'll be blissfully unaware.
Was in South London, and here's a made-up picture of what that person would look like, and the expression on his face when he finds out he's missed out on 10.
I think it's me.
Billion. Were you in South London? Did you buy a ticket? You could. Oh yeah, it does look like you, doesn't it? With you, when you've overdone the hair dye.
I think this.
I
would imagine.
Yeah, when placebo, whatever it's called, isn't working.
I'd imagine this is how hacked off you'd be if you looked like you trod in dog dirt.
No. If I'm being totally honest, that happened earlier. I was trying to get my AI to work,
you were hacked off.
and I threw the phone at the floor.
Oh.
That's what I look like.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to take a very quick commercial break. Watch this, and then come back in 2 minutes for some more.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, this suppressed preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. And Phil, something has angered you on the front page of the Mirror, hasn't it?
Well, it's not very often that I actually would say...
Get angered by the front page of the Mirror.
He's seething.
It's not very often that I would look at the front page of the Mirror and I'd say, you know what, you've actually raised a really good point there. But what they are talking about is
what, the Spanish mini cruise, £49.50?
Yeah, no, it's outrageous.
No, it's not.
No, this exclusive that they say is about energy shame, the spoils, with highlighting the word oil in the middle of that, of war. Big firms and their bosses get richer as the world burns. So the Middle East crisis has made rich winners of energy firm bosses. Chief execs at Shell, BP, Centrica and Harbour Energy have been boosted by the oil price rocketing, as of course the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. So I kind of agree with this, because I don't see really why, when everyone else is struggling as a result of the rising cost of living because of war, that we should be seeing these energy companies rewarding their bosses with more share price.
And
it's
also,
extraordinary.
There'll be a windfall tax. They're bound to bring in a windfall tax on it, aren't they? And their shareholders will say, like Centrica, Chris O'Shea, his shares are up 385 grand. BP's boss, Carol Howell, her shares in a month are up £500,000. Harbour Energy, Linda Z. Cook, her shares are up £4.3 million. I mean, this is what happens when oil prices go up and you own an oil company. But surely that's what they'll get a windfall tax on the companies. They should be paid. They shouldn't be taking this profit. They should be giving it back either.
I think what they should be doing, if they had half an ounce of decency, and make no mistake, right, let me be really clear, I am all in favour of a capitalist system. It's what makes the world go round. So I have no problem with people who are rich getting richer. But I think what they need to look at is the kind of message that sends out to their so-called clients, and of course the people who actually make their profit for them. If they are seeing the cost of the pump going up exponentially, would it not make slightly more financial sense to, whilst this really sticky period of the war in the Middle East is going on, maybe look at reinvesting some of that share money back into the companies to bring the cost of the fuel down,
yeah, but the main
or at
cost
least maintain it,
is Rachel Reeves, and she's trying to pass the buck,
100%.
saying they make very small amount of money at the pump, and it's mainly goes to the government, and they could bring it down. They charge tax on the tax, and then they have to pay tax to the owners of the petrol station. So they try. She was called a meeting of all the BP and everyone to go, look, how dare you profiteering? But it's them that have made it go up from 135 to 185.
I couldn't agree. No, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it's shame on the government, but that doesn't surprise me at all. But what I'm saying is that it's not a good look for the bosses of these oil companies to seemingly be getting richer whilst everyone else is feeling the pinch of this war. I'm not saying don't get richer, on the contrary. I'm saying play a very clever game here. I'm saying let people believe that you are suffering during this period as well, and then look at how you can make more profit after the war.
Yeah, when things are looking good.
The Daily Mail, race to find pilot shot down by Iran. US rescues one of the F-15 crew, but second is still missing. America and Iran were last night locked in a tense race to find the US pilot downed by Tehran. I mean, has that been confirmed? I mean, when we had Pastor Mark Burns on, he said both had been found, but I don't think that's correct. But he is privileged.
But there were reports that both had been found.
Yeah, and he's obviously has the ear of the government, so you know there might be something in that. Also, happy news. I don't know if you knew there was a black and white badger that's been in a pub for 35 years, a couple of them, and it's the mascot of the pub. And a woman was seen walking out with these badgers, and it became a national story. And it has been returned anonymously. Mr. Badger is back at the Odd Fellow Arms in Wimborne, Dorset, after a public campaign to find it. The toy was returned on Good Friday. It's a bit like a badger version of Jesus. The mascot, which was one of 2 cuddly badgers given to the 18th century perp by a customer in 91, was taken by a woman who was caught on CCD smuggling it underneath her coat on March 27th. She was probably drunk, and you know how women get when they see a cuddly toy and they get reverted back to their childhood. You can't blame her. Is it hormone?
So in that one section, we need to apologise to Christians and women, but thank you.
Yeah, sorry to Christians and women. I'd like to apologise for what I just... Anyway, the next hour, it's going to be a new day, so we all get up, everyone, rise and shine. It's Saturday morning. Dave staying, Phil... Are we saying goodbye to Phil? Yeah, Phil, get out, apparently.
Oh, my God, I don't mind. I can go
anyway, yeah, so we'll be back. And I'll be back in the morning at 10. We'll be back off the news. And 10 o'clock, don't forget what just happened with me, Kevin O'Sullivan and Samara Gill. It's Talk with Andre.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the Real X-Files with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and we've got Joe Stock, and we've got Matt Thornton with us. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Yeah, very well, thank
You
you.
both had haircuts? Why is that? A bit of a coincidence you both had it.
It is a bit suspicious, isn't it?
Don't look into it. It's,
So
what
go
we on
together?
about?
well, maybe. Who
We
knows?
have the same guy.
Right, so what's on to the menu in tonight's Talk Mystery Research Department?
Well, you already had the real researcher on that bar,
Yeah, you had
guys.
the bar.
All right,
He's
well,
a
why do you
legend.
respond to that?
Well, we will respond to it. I mean, the thing is it's kind of difficult for us to sit here like we do.
This is about the moon landings, whether they're real
Yeah,
or not, if
well,
you just joined us. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and when I was younger, I watched some of his documentaries and I thought they were like, blew my mind. There's footage and stuff in that makes you think, well, maybe this really didn't happen,
Yeah.
But, as I've got older, I've looked into it, and I think a lot of the claims that he's made can be quite easily...
And he makes a living
disproved.
from it, doesn't he?
Yes, of course.
He makes out it was a pittance, but I'm sure he does all right.
But also, the thing is we've been talking with you guys about all these UFO developments and these possible crash retrieval programs.
Yes.
And how can you reconcile the two things, that the Americans can't go to the moon whilst also the retro-engineering crashed extraterrestrial craft? It doesn't really work, does it?
And does Bart believe those two things?
No, I don't think he does, actually. I think he comes out from kind
Does
of
he
a
believe
religious...
in it? Well, yeah, you're right.
He doesn't really mention aliens too much, does he? No.
Right.
But obviously, the information we've got now, and there's been some big stories this week where we've had two quite, well-known politicians come forward with more information about this extraterrestrial possible, situation, where we had Matt Gaetz, who was
former Florida congressman. He was going to be the Attorney General, but
there was a bit of a scandal.
A slight scandal, yeah.
But anyway, he came forward this week on a podcast and said that he was briefed by someone in the military in the United States that that he was aware of a alien-human hybrid program where a government...
It's a forced government breeding program with aliens.
You mix us with an alien.
Yeah,
they're doing it it's to help with communicating with extraterrestrials.
Yeah, so you'd have like a hybrid, half alien, half human, that can sort of bridge the gap in communication between the two species. So that is a quite well-to-do guy. He's a well-recognised name, and he's...
Yeah, but the person that spoke to him might not be.
Well, that is... Well, yeah. But, I mean, yes. Well, that's true.
He said that he wasn't briefed any further on it. It was just a guy said to him...
It could be a disinformation thing. We don't know. But then later on in the week, Republican Congressman Tim Burchett came forward and said that he'd also, in the last few weeks, had briefings on UFOs. And he said if he were to reveal what they had told him, he thought it would unglue the country, is what he said, and that everyone would be kept awake at night thinking about it. So it's quite disturbing.
Well, this is the reason why they say we haven't been told.
Yes,
because we just panic. Well, we look at the what was it, the was it Orson Welles when he did the
War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds,
yes.
and a lot of people apparently jumped out of building. I mean, is that true?
No, I think that was a bit of
made up.
That's a bit of
to forward his career. He was a self-promoter.
There might have been a couple of people who believed it.
I think he did have to make an apology, but I think the panic side was
a moral panic,
a bit extreme.
We actually did on the James Wells show. We did the same thing with horror writer Sean Hudson. We did a weekly program called Strange Air, and we started off the series by doing a fake news flash saying, in Buckinghamshire, if you're listening breaking news, there's been a biological spill or so. And actually CNN news desk rang in and go, hey, we're hearing about this, buddy, we're hearing about... And I went, no, don't worry about it, mate. So, yeah. But no one... I don't think anyone jumped out of any buildings,
Apparently there was a guy that was...
you might as well wait till the aliens...
I think he was waiting around with a gun for the aliens to arrive on a farm, and they never came, but people had to tell him to stand down because he was doing it for a few days and it was scaring him.
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of panic if this information does come out.
People aren't ready for it.
There's also been some whistleblowers coming forward this week saying that they've been told that it's very much on the Trump agenda to have a soft disclosure, that he will make some kind of statement.
Well, they already sort of have, haven't they? Obama did, and then he did.
Yeah, but this would be like a big speech, an announcement on this, and I've even heard a rumour that a commemorative coin is also being developed for the occasion.
And they've just got the website aliens.org.
So they want to keep it a secret, but they've got a commemorative coin.
No, so Trump will be breaking away from that, so he wants to be the president that will reveal something about this officially. President. And we heard that this might be happening in July on the anniversary of the Roswell incident, but then there was some back and forth if that information was correct or not. But
so they'll tell us a bit. I mean, we'll panic a little bit then. They don't mind us.
Well, I suspect... Well, yeah, I mean, it depends, because this has been drip-fed for the last 10 years, really. Yeah. They've been more people coming forward saying, this happened from, certain military programs.
We've got aliens, but they aren't quite what you think about.
That the kind of rhetoric around it's changed, and now, I think if Trump does go up, yes, it will be big, but a big reaction, but I don't think it will be as extreme as it could
People don't care after a day or two. It's like when those drones the size of cars were everywhere, everyone went mad, and then they're going, who cares?
Well,
it's weird, isn't it? It's because of this.
I was talking to someone outside about the moon landing being a fake.
What, just a general person on the street?
A general person on the street, no. But I was just saying...
I told you not to do that.
Are you a smoker?
No. There's someone in the
guy
office.
under the bridge.
When you said outside, I thought you meant you walked out of the building.
The drunkard under the bridge.
But I was just saying...
He's seen all sorts of lights.
But no, we were just saying to him about, we had this guest on tonight, who denies the moon landing, and this person says to me, well, I wouldn't even care whether it was faked or not.
No, I wouldn't.
So just completely detached from these things. I mean,
my theory, if they said, we did it in order to waste the Soviet Union's money, I'd go, we did that lots of times.
It makes sense, doesn't it? That does.
But do you reckon they're hoping that people are just so they don't even pay attention or care anymore. That
I think there is a critical difference, Matt. I think that we did not watch the moon landings happening.
Correct.
Oh, so we don't care.
But I know people like my mum says I never cared about it. My dad really cared about it and watched it, and some people just didn't care.
Well, I'm quite surprised. Just the moon landing thing comes up quite a lot. Conspiracies come up a lot. People in our generation, stuff, they just believe it, but not passionately believe it. They just go, oh yeah, that didn't happen.
Do you think? I mean, people don't seem to care.
The government, they probably lie about these things.
Yeah, there seems to be this sort of inherent.
But isn't there a general distrust for the government that exists in Britain now that didn't exist perhaps in the 1960s? I mean, obviously, the British government had nothing to do with the moon landings. It's an important point to make.
Yeah.
But I think there is now just a general scepticism that might not have existed in the past.
I think that's definitely true, and I think, especially after things like COVID and stuff, and younger people are more sort of radicalised, sort of alternative political beliefs and things. But I think some of the conspiracies that they come out with are probably the wrong kind of conspiracies. They're very sort of like kind of nasty conspiracies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Politically motivated.
Yeah, but also just not really well thought through and kind of just a bit hateful.
Like the Twin Towers one, it doesn't work because they wouldn't need a big excuse like that to invade a country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but I would say that
people would know about it.
There were no Jews in the World Trade Center. Yeah. It was originally scheduled, the attack, for the day of Jewish New Year, but it was cancelled on that day.
Yeah, but also there were hundreds of Jews killed in those towers.
Well, that's the reason, because it was planned for Jewish New Year, but didn't happen. But they put the rumour out anyway.
But I would say, I bet if you asked a lot of people our age or maybe younger just what their opinions are on that, they'd say it was an inside job.
Why? Why would it be?
That's a good question.
People are just distrustful.
They want it to come from. I remember they said, look at it, the puffs of smoke coming out like a demolition. That's just because air, as each floor collapses, it pushes air out. It's just physics.
I mean, when I was younger...
what's amazing is Osama bin Laden said, I attacked the World Trade Center in order to strike at the heart of the American economy. And you go, well, maybe bin Laden was lying. Was he?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. But, when I was younger, I mean, I was, obviously we're conspiracy enthused, shall we say. But when I was young, like a teenager, those sort of conspiracies did appeal to me, because you'd see them in these sort of, like videos, and they're all sort of mysterious, and it would say, look at the way this tower came down, it doesn't make sense, and you'd be like, yeah, but then you get into the real world.
Did you have a bird when you were at school?
No.
I mean, that's a bit of a question, isn't it? I mean, you just sat there going, Mum, look at the way the World Trade Center explodes. I'm very worried about Joe. I'm worried about Joe.
I'm better now. It's okay. I think things are resolved.
Do you know what? Let me just guess. I think we should send him to normal school. Did you go to an all-boys private school?
No, I did not go to an all-boys school.
Did you not?
An all-girls private?
You didn't go. You didn't go to a comp though, did you?
No. Yeah, I think it was.
God.
Yeah.
You just went to a normal comprehensive school. Did you just get the shit kicked out of you every day?
No.
Did you have any friends?
I had loads of friends.
No.
Well,
where was it? Where did you grow up?
Oh, it was North London. I went to
Camden or something.
No, I went to Fry and Barnet.
Fry and Barnet?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Fry and Barnet.
Oh,
yeah, what's this got to do with that? Anyway, we're not talking about aliens.
Are there aliens
we want to know, do you...
Sorry, you went to a rough state school?
It wasn't that rough.
Actually, Fry and Barnet, in the mental asylum there.
Isn't Brian Farnett from Fry and Barnet?
That's where Jack the Ripper was in the mental asylum.
Yes, around the corner, that's correct. Yeah, well...
Any Jack the Ripper conspiracy theories?
Not right now, but there are some interesting things
maybe next week.
Well, there can't be any conspiracy theories about Jack the Ripper in that area, because there was one guy who's believed to be Jack the Ripper who moved there, and that was it. I mean, that would be the end of the conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, yes, but lots of people take issue with that evidence that was put forward, because his DNA was supposedly on a shroud that belongs to the victim, but she wasn't wearing it on the night she died. So
that shroud is very dodgy.
Yeah. Like
that shroud. That bloke who bought the shroud with the. How should we say, Aaron Kosminski ectoplasm on it? That wasn't real. So his excuse, the guy who owns it now, he says, well, it hasn't been handled properly because people didn't know about DNA at the time. What somebody did was went down to Bernardo's, bought an old rag and sold it at auction, saying, I was in the police. What would have happened is...
Yeah, they must have soiled it first.
There will have been some old... Well, that's not very difficult. Let's not. What would have happened is this bloke will have thought, well, when I was in the police, I went down and I nicked it. Actually, it'd just be some copper who's fallen hard in his luck. Now he's retired. He's just sold some old rubbish.
There's definitely some interesting things about Jack the Ripper, but I think that's its own little episode.
We'll do an whole section. Are you staying after the break? What's going on? Or is it?
You.
No, we're not. So let's have your answer, because this is what you win. Did we land on the moon? Come on.
Probably, yes.
Look, there's a new faking of it up there.
Oh, yeah, look, they're doing it. Yeah, but anyway, we're never going to find out. I think. Do you think we landed on the moon?
Yeah.
Anyway,
why not?
He does. They both think, why not? We'll be back with all your calls. 03444991000. Grace, Kevin, Phil, Cindy, Pat, and you too. And you can leave us a WhatsApp message if you're scared. It's Andre and Ash on Talk. Thanks, guys.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Ash Gould. We're taking your calls, 0344 499 1000. The first caller is Grace in London. Grace, you're on Talk.
Hi, and happy Easter to you guys in advance.
And you, yeah.
I was not in full agreement with everything that the pastor was saying earlier on. One thing that struck me particularly was that he was saying that it was Trump's spiritual duty to save the people of Iran. And I completely concur that God does call us to help those who are suffering and oppressed, including in other places. But if Trump really cared about people who were suffering and oppressed, he wouldn't have eliminated programs to provide food for people who are starving hungry and to provide support for people facing other conflicts and crises in our world. So Trump ended some of those programs.
Yeah, but that was people, corrupt people, just siphoning off billions of dollars.
Not all of it, no.
No, not all of it, but billions and billions of dollars.
No, there were huge numbers of important programs that have been ended that were doing a lot.
Yeah, I know, because he took a sledgehammer to crack a very big nut. I mean, it was $9 billion just in Minnesota, and this, you think about California, it's billions and billions, trillions of dollars probably across the whole.
I mean, and when aid is spent well, it does make much more impact pound for pound or dollar for dollar than it can here in the West. So if he did want to help people who are suffering, he would have dealt with any misuse of USAID and kept the programs that were good.
So you think the Iran war, he shouldn't bother with it?
I'm not saying that entirely, but I'm saying that I don't think his motive actually was...
Well, his motive was there developing nuclear weaponry.
Well, that's a very different thing from what the pastor said, isn't it? The pastor said that Trump did this because he had a spiritual duty to help the oppressed people of Iran, which is quite a different thing. And I don't think that the Bible makes it really clear that we need to fight particular wars in the way that the pastor was suggesting, because it's absolutely the case that we need to stand against evil, but Trump seems to think that anything he does is okay because he thinks God is on his side, and he's kind of negating the problem that Jesus told us is most important, which is our own thing.
Well, the president, that is a sort of coronation, and that, you know, Americans do think that God is on the president's side. You know, he's blessed in the Oval Office when he gets in. It's almost like a sort of coronation.
Well, I can see that some of Trump's fans think that, but Jesus said lots of times that, you know, for example, he says you'll know a person by their fruit, and out of the heart the mouth speaks. So if Trump were on God's side, he would be showing some slightly more Christ-like speech and attitudes to other people, but he kind of continues to behave in a way that's very arrogant and hateful, and that implies that he's not actually trying to follow Jesus.
What about the King Charles not doing an Easter message at this time?
I think that seems like a shame. I mean, it's not essential, and we know about what happened to Easter irrespective of what the king says, but I kind of feel like if the king believed it, why wouldn't he want to talk about it? It's really good news that Jesus took our penalty for us and died for our sin in our place and then rose to life. Why wouldn't Charles want to talk about it unless he doesn't believe it? Which is fine. Well, it's his right to not believe it, but it seems it seems a bit of a shame, especially when I get that.
And that's Grace in London. Let's go to Pat in London. I think the line, I don't know why. Hi, Pat.
Hello there.
Sorry, Grace. Yeah, we had to move on. We've got a break soon. What's up, Pat?
Well, I mean, the guy who said that the moon landings were faked and they didn't go, well, there are certain the crews of Apollo 11, 14 and 15 installed laser retro reflectors on the surface.
That's what I said that to him. He ignored that bit, didn't he? Yeah. That they can now flick a laser at and it reflects back.
Yeah, what it is that for a long while, and we've only just found this out, that the moon is edging away from the Earth. In its present position.
It's very strange how this is the only time in the world's existence that the moon fits exactly over the sun for an eclipse. That won't happen in like 500, 1,000, or I don't know, a few thousand, and it didn't happen. We're at an exact time where the moon fits precisely over the sun in an eclipse, which is very mysterious in itself, isn't it, Pat?
See, the thing is as well that several orbiters from India, Japan, and China have actually seen the descent landers and the rovers and the squiggles.
They can see the cars, the rover up there. I don't know why they use the rover. You'd think they'd use a BMW or something more reliable, but it's a rover.
On the planet's surface. And there's another
Rover 2000, apparently.
American orbiter, spinning orbit since 2009, has actually seen these things on the surface. So, I mean, Mr. Simpson, or Bartman, is, I think, sparking up the wrong...
Well, you know what they said? They said that car that they put up in 1969, because of something to do with physics and space, that the battery would not be dead like it would happen on Earth, and you'd be able to go and start it up again, drive around. There's no point in driving around. There's nothing to see much, is there?
Well, not really.
Flag.
It's
like a holiday Gaza.
Yeah.
It's what the moon holds, a substance called helium-3, which would be very, very good for initiating fusion.
It's good stuff. It makes your voice go high as well. It's fun when you're in a balloon, isn't it? But we had a guy on once who said the moon, and there was a lot of people backing this up, is a hollow piece of metal.
Well, who's to say?
Exactly.
They said that they did crash the orbiters back down when they finished docking with the module in orbit above the moon. They let it go and they crashed it down on the moon. And seismic sensors on Earth said that it rang like a bell or something. But who's to say? I mean, anything is possible, I suppose.
Well, is that it?
You have an open mind about these things.
Is that anything else to say, Pat, before we...
Well, I mean, to be honest, I believe that we went to the moon and we should never have abandoned the moon.
What were you doing? Because you would have been, 10, 15 years old or something?
I was born in 56, so I'd have been about
13.
9, 8 or 9.
No, you'd have been a 13, wouldn't you? If you were born in 56, you'd have been 13.
Oh, well, 13 then. Fair enough.
Well, what did you do then? Did you stay up and that and watch it on BBC?
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing? How cool the BBC was then compared to now. Because there was no audio, they actually got Pink Floyd in and they played live, trippy music with all sort of effects while the moon landing was going on.
Well, it was the trippy, hippie music.
Yeah, but that's when the BBC was...
more or less coming to an end at that time. It was at the end of the 60s, and
it must have been a great time for you back in London, back in the early 70s. What were you doing in the early 70s in London, Pat?
Yeah, it's all right. It was I suppose same as the early 70s in Birmingham.
Well, I was about 3 years old.
Oh right. Well,
I had bell bottoms and that, and you know.
What, at 3 years old?
Yeah, my mum used to dress me up fashionably. I had this shirt with a tie in the same material, a big fat tie at 3 years old and big flares. Yeah.
Well, good luck to you then.
Yeah, well, everyone was at it back then.
You were a hipster.
Yeah, man. So you can't even remember.
Did you ever? Well, I mean, I was in the 80s, so my mum used to get fluorescent socks, two different types, two different colours.
The pink and yellow, yeah.
Wear one in each colour.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then later on, it was white socks with moccasins.
Well, I used to have me Harrington, when I got a bit older, me Harrington jacket, me Levi State Press, me brogues.
Yeah.
Did anybody know?
Nice.
You know the Parker jacket with the furry hood?
Yeah.
Do you know how you're supposed to wear them? What? You're supposed to fold the fur inwards to put a seal in between your face and the weather, right? Right, why would you have it? So it's just a fashionable effect.
It looked like good hair, didn't it?
I believe, having spoken to a Russian, I believe that nobody in Britain knew how to wear one of the Parker jackets with the furry hoods. Everyone got it wrong.
And they also had too many wing mirrors on their Lambrettas and Vespas. They'd have about 8 wing mirrors, you know what I mean? You only needed one good one on each side.
I mean, if you didn't make your face aerodynamic by folding the furry hood in, then actually all you would do was create a big wind sack.
It's bad for the going on your scooters. I mean, they weren't that powerful anyway.
Yeah, just slowing you down.
Yeah.
Like
and they had a foxtails on the back, didn't they? Were you a mod, Pat? Are you a bit young, a bit too young?
I was not really. I was a bit, maybe in the 60s, 65. I was a bit young.
You were more of a hippie in the early 70s, weren't you? Like sort of like mud and all that sort of thing.
Have you seen the film Quadrophenia?
Not really. I was into me soul and funk.
Oh yeah, what, the Northern Soul sort of thing?
Not really. I was into sort of like Curtis Mayfield.
Right. I like Curtis Mayfield. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
And
Pusher Man.
Groups like sort of like Parliament and
Funkadelic, George Clinton and all that.
That sort of thing. I mean, today I didn't like Bowie and all that. Then I do like Bowie.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it? Because I look at music now that I didn't like when you were in the 80s, and I think, well, now I listen to it and it's quite good. And it's sort of a fashion thing. It wasn't cool to like these people, some people, and then you listen later and you go,
Bowie was a one-off.
I'll tell you what I hate most about music, when people go, oh, I used to like X band, but now everyone else likes them, so I've gone off them.
Yeah.
Do you know what Dave Gorman called those people?
What?
The people that extract fun out of being a music fan. He called them extractor fans. He said, I hate extractor fans who, when you go, oh, I quite like a bit of Def Leppard, they go, have you got the album that they played at the Albert Hall in 1948 when they were called Bob Jones and his Brothers? No.
And they were very...
Oh, well, you don't know anything then.
And Def Leppard, they had the one-armed drummer, didn't they? And they had a Def Leppard, obviously.
I just bought the album. That was it. Have you got the latest album? No. What? It came out last week.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah. It's like knowing about James Bond. You're getting your Bonds wrong.
Yeah. I hate extractor fans. They just ruin it all. They ruin it all. I don't like them now because everyone else does. Do you have the album that they played undercover with the fake name? No. What? You'd call yourself a fan? I call myself somebody who bought the album. That's all I call myself. I don't call myself a fan.
Anyway, Pat, are you satisfied now?
Well, yeah.
Do you feel satisfied?
Scratched.
Good. Well, we'll bid you good morning. Have
Your
a
itch has
nice.
been scratched. Where was your itch?
What are you doing tomorrow on a Saturday?
Tell ya.
So it's what, like
I can smell it.
bum hole scratch?
No, don't tell us. Keep it a mystery. It makes it more.
Oh, I see. So you haven't actually got any skin conditions that we need to be concerned.
No. It's just what they say. You know, the switch has been flicked. Me, it's just been scratched.
Right, you've been turned on.
You've flicked your switch, have you? That's Pat, the old hippie from London, used to hang around, doesn't really remember much, but he knew he liked his soul. It's Andre Nash, Andre JP
His
Walker.
soul or our soul?
That's what he was scratching. At Virtual Ash at Andre JP Walker. It's Talk. Give us a ring 03444 499 1000. Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, let's...
Bit of music bed. Why are you playing that?
Okay, let's go straight to the phones. Gary is in Lancashire.
Gaz, Gary.
Good morning, Ash.
Morning.
Andre Ash. Don't know which way to put it.
Doesn't matter.
Been listening to what's been going on.
Earwigging, were we?
No. Since the space landing, it's always been a bit sceptical to me. An old-time friend of mine who used to love cricket, which I don't, apparently at the time when they were showing the space landing, the Test cricket was on, and this lady, who would be about 110 now, she said, that's all done in a studio. She said, put the blooming cricket back on.
How did she know that, man?
Well, that was just what she said at the time, and the thing that about it is that why have they never gone over and shown the Sea of Tranquility again with all that stuff there?
What stuff?
Well, all the moon landing stuff, you know?
Apparently, yeah, you can see it, but it's a good point. Why haven't we got pictures of it then?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, man.
Well, with all the technology,
yeah,
surely.
Show us the picture of it. Show the dog a rabbit, yeah.
A proper picture.
So you live in the countryside, Lincolnshire. Do you ever see any alien activity?
Not here. I live near a few aircraft bases.
Anything? You seen anything?
Coningsby's up the road, and
yeah,
Waddington.
Yeah. So?
No, I haven't seen anything. No. So I'm very sceptical about the moon landing, let's put it that way.
Thanks, Gary. Right, very interesting. Yeah, Paula in Swindon. Or is it Paul?
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
I don't know what the question is.
Well, the question is, what do you want to talk about, man?
Like space thing.
Space thing.
I don't believe it. Yeah, like
you don't believe in space.
The moon landing, I don't actually believe it happened. I'm sorry, I'm getting on in years. But the thing is,
there's no need to apologise.
No, but the thing is, there was a program on not long after. It was in. Everybody is saying the 60s, but it was 1969 because I can remember when they landed because I was having a pint with my dad. But the thing is, a few pints. There's so many cover-ups. There's so many pictures of the landscapes, which was like, and they can be compared absolutely with landscapes in 1950 in Area 51, right?
Yeah.
And they could, and there's so many things which can be discarded. There's so many pictures with the little crosses. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But they are missing in certain photographs, in certain documentaries.
There's a lot of evidence, but there's no smoking gun, is there? That's the thing. And I suppose that's what they rely on if they are covering it up, that they didn't go there.
Honestly, I'm confused by what I'm speaking, but
I can hear.
I can honestly say, in my own mind, it didn't happen.
Now, it sounds to me like you live in the countryside. Have you ever witnessed alien activity?
Yes.
What have you seen?
What have I seen? Years and years ago, I was at a banger race, and I come out dropping my sister off at 7:45 at night, and then driving along the road, I am going back a bit. I had a Rover SD1 V8, and one minute I was driving, next minute I felt I was being watched. And the next second you knew, I was out in a field looking back at the car with my sister and her two kids. And they was playing that, and she was going to give them a swipe. And I was in a field.
So suddenly you were driving a car and then you just found yourself in a field near the car?
In a field, yeah. But not just in a field. It was like, there's a bloody edge there, like hawthorn edge.
An edge of a cliff?
Yeah, no, just an edge.
An edge?
A wooden edge.
Like that bloke from U2?
Yeah, a wooden sculpture of edge in this field?
No, a thorn edge. That's what I'm trying to say.
A hedge?
Oh, a hedge!
Well, yeah, would be, at the end of the field there would be a hedge, wouldn't there?
There was a hedge.
That's not very mysterious. I mean,
had the edge been there?
If you went out for a leak and you sort of were a bit, I don't know, and you forgot why you ended... I don't really understand. And your sister and kids were still in the car.
Did you go for a pee?
One minute I was driving my sister home.
Yeah.
With her two kids.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I thought I was like being watched. I looked up and there was the best way I can describe it is Detroit skyscrapers without lights, without noise, without anything. There was no lights, no nothing.
And have you ever taken ketamine?
I actually believe this guy, because why would they have lights? So you think this was alien spacecraft that had abducted you and were doing something to you in the field? Or?
No, what I'm saying is, I see it, and the next thing you know, I'm looking from a field to the edge, And
through the
me
hedge.
in my
Through a hedge,
car with my sister. Everything stopped by now, mate. And then the next second, you know, I'm back in the car driving.
And what did your sister say? Did she say, where have you just been? I mean, what did she say about the few minutes?
When I got back to dropping her off, it was like, I said, did you notice anything? And they all thought, no.
Yeah.
So that was it. No, there was no.
No, that was the critical point. No.
Did they say, oh, yeah, there was that bit where you sort of were out the car and in the middle of a field looking at us through a hedge? Did they say anything about that?
No, nothing, because...
No, that is very mysterious.
Yeah, but I'd never stopped down. I'd never...
But they didn't think you did.
It does sound like there was some sort of alien abduction there, because this is exactly the textbook case of it.
No, it's not.
No, it was just like a... It's just like a parallel universe thing, yeah?
Had you been drinking?
Did you have any sore bits after?
No, I didn't.
No, they were gentle.
No, I can't remember. They never did nothing to me. It was just the fact that...
You sort of lost time and space in that moment. It's interesting. Because he's not making this up. He believes this. You can tell, can't you?
No, honestly, it's...
Oh, I believe you.
I would not make myself look a
No, I believe you, man.
I mean, of all the things the aliens could have done to you, forcing you to look through a hedge seems, at best, perfunctory.
The thing is, you drive along there, you can't even see to the bloody edge.
But you could.
But you could.
That is mysterious.
Well, there you have
The thing is, I was 1 minute driving my car.
And then the next minute in the field with the hedge.
Then I thought I was being watched. And the next minute, I was in the field looking back at the edge.
And then you just drove home and they went, yeah, something a bit weird did happen, and see you
Well, I
next
think
Tuesday.
the evidence that you couldn't normally see through the hedge, but you could on that occasion, that's definitive proof that there's extraterrestrials, isn't it?
But I don't know, but I don't know.
Are you drunk?
You actually got that out of me. But, no, I'm not.
All right. Just checking.
But
No need to be so defensive.
Right, we can't continue with this. Let's just stop now, please.
I'm enjoying it.
Think we should
Sorry, you got too close, Paul. Let's go to Cindy in Michigan.
Hi, Ash. Hi, Andre. How are you?
All right, man. How are you, Cindy? What's going on in America?
Good. Well, I have kind of a not an alien story, but a story that makes you go, that's
things
odd.
that make you go,
yeah.
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go.
Do you remember that song?
No, we just wrote it. No, we just wrote it.
Things that make you
No,
go.
it was a song.
Things that make you go. Oh.
Sorry,
okay,
Cindy.
so now don't get all sad and bent.
I'm not going to get sad or
when I tell you the
bent.
beginning of the story, because
I'm not going to be spent or bent this
It's a
evening.
little sad. Don't get sad.
Just bent.
Stay with me.
Okay.
So this was about 3 weeks after I'd lost my baby. Okay, I'm talking to my mother. I'm talking to my mother on the phone, and she's telling me that she saw my baby, right? And I'm like, she's telling me these things, and I'm just rolling my eyes like she's crazy, like, yeah, right. I'm not saying yeah, right. I'm thinking it.
Sure.
Because she describes the baby as in a party dress with bright red hair. Yeah. Now, my husband is bald, right? But you can see where he had hair, and it's dark brown.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way, right? So later on that day, I'm talking. She's talking bright red, like a
Gingers can
Ronald
just
McDonald.
appear. It's an anomaly, it can just happen.
Well, it could, but that's very strange. So I'm talking to my husband and telling him about this, right? And he says, yeah, as a child, I had bright red hair. Now, I don't know anybody that any of my friends that had, you know, brown hair in the present, and as a child had bright red hair.
Well, we hear all this all the time. I mean, Danielle Nichols, obviously her daughter, because she obviously lost a baby, very young baby, from meningitis, and then she had a subsequent daughter who sort of at a very young age said, I'm playing with the little girl, and it was like, you know, it does happen apparently that they contact and you see them at an older age. And did you find it comforting?
I did. I did initially. When I didn't believe the story, I just was. It didn't really matter. But after my husband said, "Yeah, I had red hair as a baby and child," yeah, it was, and it made me think that, you know, there's a lot more out there than we know.
Yeah, I think we tend to live in a sanitised world where we don't believe in anything. I mean, you know, we've had callers on talking about angels and demons, UFOs, all that sort of thing. And
well, we're cynical. We're cynical.
Yeah, but atheism is just as much a religion as a religious person. You know what I mean? People who say they're atheists are just the same as anyone who's ultra-religious. They just have another belief that they don't actually know.
Yeah, that's right. And I also wanted to ask you about Sharia law. There's some places popping up in America that are doing Sharia, like Ash mentioned it earlier, and I've heard the very same thing. And I know that you have pockets in England that are the same thing.
Yes.
Now,
how
can this happen?
Well, just to be clear, because people don't understand this, in Britain, you are perfectly legally entitled to arbitrate your disputes in whatever way you want. So as an example, if Asher and I were to have a falling out, say, over, I don't know, say I gave Ash this mobile phone and he said I gave it him to keep, and I say I loaned it to him.
You said I could keep it.
Yeah, we are perfectly entitled to go to our local priest in order to arbitrate the dispute, if you see what I mean.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Only civil law, not for criminal offences.
Yeah, not for criminal.
Although they might try and...
Yeah, not for criminal offences. Yeah. So, the purpose of that is to allow people to go, well, we're going to go to the conciliation service, ACAS. We're going to solve the dispute.
It's a bit like Judge Judy.
Exactly right. Judge Rinder is a good example in the UK, who's the UK Judge Judy. The only reason you can have your case arbitrated by him is because you've both agreed to that arbitration. Yeah. Now, that is all fine. They have set up these Sharia courts because they've taken it, in my view, too far. And now they're disputing things like divorces, inheritance and things like that. Where we're worried about it in the UK is where there is societal pressure to have that sort of arbitration. So, as an example, the amount of inheritance you will receive as a girl is lower in Sharia law than it would be in standard British law. Now, if you wish to accept lower than what you're entitled to in an inheritance, you are allowed to do that. But we suspect that girls don't go to the Sharia courts because they know that. It's because they don't know that, if you see what I mean.
Right, yeah. I wonder if that's the same here.
But it's normal free society, isn't it? If me and you have an argument, Asher might speak to both of us, and we might abide by his decision. Do you see what I mean?
I know Texas have just banned it, haven't they? They voted to ban it totally in Texas.
The problem comes when it becomes a very organised parallel legal system. Now, what Sharia courts could say is, well, there is a parallel legal system in things like ACAS. There is a parallel legal system in many organisations have their own disciplinary codes, as an example. Those are all, if you want to call it that, parallel legal systems. But if you look at the 13th Amendment in the United States of America to abolish slavery, I think it was the 13th, effectively what they also said is you can't consent to be a slave. Because there was a great deal of concern that people would be harassed into consenting to be a slave. So even if you go and agree to be a slave, it is still not legal for you to be a slave in America. And the problem is with Sharia courts, you know, there is a lot of things in terms of enforcing a lower standard for women that we're not sure is legal.
Yeah, because you can't do, you just can't do that. And if, that's starting to go on here in America, and I just
You've got
really
to nip it in the bud, really, like Texas.
Well, I think if what you're trying to do is integrate, then you integrate. If you're trying to build a parallel society, then things like creation of the mosque, things like creation of the halal butchers, things like creation of the Islamic school, things like creation of the Islamic court, things like creation of an Islamic security services, those sorts of things would be what I would describe as a colonisation rather than integration. I mean, my dad, before he converted to Catholicism, was Greek Orthodox, only because he'd been baptised in Athens. His younger sister was baptised Church of England because she was baptised in England, right? So now if what you say is, imagine my family had done this, they'd said, right, well, we've come from Greece to Britain. We can't baptise your aunt because we haven't yet built a Greek Orthodox church. So what we're going to do is build the Greek Orthodox church. That would not be integration, in my view.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that if you come to a country, you should integrate and assimilate.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Thanks, Cindy. Have we got a little breaky?
By the way, before you go any further, for ages ago, Asher, George Gilbert asked why Jewish people throughout history had always been the victims of racism, had always been seen as the enemy or the other or whatever. Why seemingly intelligent people were still anti-Semites. I've got the answer. It's really simple.
Well, let's wait. Tell us the answer of why people have always been against Jews in 2 minutes on Talk with Andre and Ash.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The answer is very simple. They were the only outsiders. That's it. They were the only outsiders. If you think about it.
Scapegoat, yeah.
No, but if you think about it, everyone you know is a Latvian, apart from the Jews. The Jews are the ones you're going to have a go at.
It's a typical scapegoat.
It's not like when you went round. It's not like when you went round Vienna in 1820. There were Turks, Moldovans.
Yeah,
there was just.
And that's why they do need Israel, because then they're not the outsiders anyway. Jerry.
Oh, by the way, the most unbelievable piece of breaking news. News. The Republic of Moldova has left the Commonwealth of Independent States. Just to be clear, did anybody know that the organisation that the Soviet Union turned into still existed?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, did anybody?
They've left it.
So
no one noticed.
No, when the Soviet Union was abolished, they created the Commonwealth of Independent States. Moldova has left. Did anyone know the organisation? Who is in charge of it?
I don't know. I suppose like the British Commonwealth, isn't it? I don't know.
All right, let's have a look at I'm going to find out some things about the Commonwealth of Independent States. The Soviet.
Let's have a chat to Jerry in Burton-on-Trent. Go, Jerry.
Hi guys, I wish you on every night because it's top dollar, it really is.
Thank you.
Well, we work very hard to get it like it is all throughout the week.
I love Andre's expression every time he despairs with a call.
Which is every caller.
And that's for you, Ash. I just love it when you do your Mark Dolan. We need more of that.
Oh, yes, thanks. And don't forget, I'll be joining you in the morning from this morning. Andre and Ash, what a fantastic show. But don't forget to call me on 0344 499 1000. Because, and don't forget as well, Mark, yes, what's up, Ash? Oh, yes, your show. That's right. Ash is going to be on with Kevin tomorrow. In fact, I've got a little clippy of it and what just happened. Run the clip. Let's have a look at Ash.
Feminism, and then they regret it sometimes when they get to 60.
Is that feminism?
It's feminism, yeah.
That isn't feminism.
It is. It's go and get a job and have a career because you're a strong woman, and they get to 60 and they go, oh no, I haven't got any kids or a family.
I mean, no, but you're... Well, you're saying feminism's bad?
Well, I've seen women saying, I'm very angry at people who forced us down this road because I would have liked to actually have... I've seen
I don't agree that a woman who decides to pursue a career, like something like Samara so far, who knows what will happen in the future, but I don't agree that women deciding to pursue careers is a result of feminism.
I don't know. Honestly, for me to have kids, it would be immaculate conception.
Women never used
immaculate misconception.
Yeah, exactly.
Man could afford to run a house, and the woman would be a housewife.
Come on, Ash, you're being ridiculous.
No, but I'm saying it's not me. I've just read articles from women who've said, "I've got to 60, I've got no kids, I'm not married."
I'll tell you what it is.
Feminism.
I read a good article in The Atlantic about this, and it is true. It's that everyone used to have kids way younger, and now we're having kids older. But the issue is, when you live your 20s and you don't have kids, you see how amazing it is, and then you just decide, oh, actually, never mind, I'm okay, because no one had this life before kids beforehand.
So if I was women going, I'm 60, I'm not married, I haven't got any kids, I won the lottery!
Yeah, and there'll be, don't forget, you watch that from 10 a.m. Fantastic. I think I was right. Quick, anyway, we'll just gloss over that. What's coming on in your... What's coming up in your show, Bubba?
Well, X-rated content, rather like that.
Fantastic.
I should think. We'll keep
Don't worry, that got dumped apparently.
No, but now,
I don't know what that means.
First of all, let's discuss what non-sport activities have you got on
What
tonight?
non-sporting activities do we
With
have?
Mark, of course.
Producer Mark, looking forward to that. Well, it's Easter weekend, of course. Is the boat race a sporting event?
Yes.
Times Radio.
I mean,
I've got
rubbish
that
one,
tomorrow
though,
lunchtime. Not for me.
Do you remember about 4 or 5
Not
years
for me.
ago, the BBC, because they don't care about money and equipment, they put all like £100,000 cameras on the bridges at 2 in the morning, and they all got nicked by just because they were just left these like £100,000 cameras all along the Thames. So
I think the boat. I'll tell you what the boat race is. There are a whole heap of sports that are good fun to attend. Right, so...
Yeah, but are they? Because it's like the F1. If you get the boat race, right, you stand by the Thames, you get your spot, boat goes past, that's it.
No,
they're not coming back round again.
No, that's not true. There are multiple...
No, but it is true. They're not coming back round again.
There are multiple races.
Well, they have lightweight, heavyweight women, but you only want to see the heavyweight.
But if you go, so I'm a member of the Royal Enclosure at Ascot. If you go to Ascot, how many of the races do you actually watch?
Yeah, you're drunk, aren't you?
I'm into my horse racing.
I mean, I have been on occasion to Royal Ascot and made it to trackside on no occasions.
Okay. What enclosure are you in? In the top one, the
Royal.
Edward VII?
No, it's called the Royal Enclosure.
The Royal Enclosure.
On
the top one?
It is the same one.
Yeah.
It's just Royal Ascot. It's got a different name. You've been on a non-Royal Ascot Day for it to be called Edward VII.
Yeah, I've been with the mere plebs, of course. But we got upgraded.
Well, Alan Brazil and that down at you have a few.
No, it's all Rupert Bell there, though.
Rupert Bell is their cameraman. He's their guy on camera.
He used to be the Queen's horse trainer.
Yeah, and don't forget Toby Anstis with Club Classics coming up. It's great.
His brother, and he went to school and served with Prince Andrew, I think, didn't he?
I couldn't possibly comment
and he's an
on
Aston Villa fan. But anyway, talking of which, what sporting activities have you got on?
We're looking ahead to a big weekend of FA Cup action on TalkSport. Coventry City on the verge of returning to the Premier League. Lincoln City, get this right, top of League One. Well. They're 18 points clear of at the top of League One with 18 points left to play for. So they're effectively promoted. They'd have to lose. League
One is now the third division. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Because then it's Championship and then it's Premier League.
I didn't know that. I thought it was First Division, then the Premier League. That's how up to date I am.
Premier League, Division 1, Division 2. But what a story for Lincoln City. Great for them, the Imps. First time they've been in the second tier since the early 1960s. But they haven't got the P next to their name just yet because of maths. But realistically, they're up. So come on, you Imps.
Come on, the Gimps. So what else you got? What other sporting activities or anything else?
Plenty of horse racing, like you mentioned. Tony McCormick, our top tipster, had a blinder last week.
And